38-year-old carpenter Anthony Downs is suing former neighbors, 45-year-old waitress Paula Nagel and her friend, 37-year-old homemaker Connie Barnett. Anthony says their children vandalized his car. Paula and Connie are countersuing for harassment.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 186 on the calendar, the matter of Downs versus Nagel Barnett.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, huh?
First, let me advise all of you that I have no intention of going back historically into the ongoing allegations of harassment, restraining orders, etc., that exists between you two people. And I'm going to start on a particular day. And that day is back in February of 2001, when I understand from reading your complaint that all of you appeared in court. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And on that day in February, you all seem to have come to some sort of at least a temporary resolution of this ongoing harassment that each of you claim that the other is causing you. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Correct. Yes.
So you're in court. You received a restraining order against him?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have a restraining order at that time against them?
No, ma'am.
No. Okay. Everybody's shaking hands saying, we hope this whole thing will go away. And then you exit the courthouse. Is that right?
No, I didn't know, ma'am. I did not leave the courthouse yet.
Your car was parked in the parking lot.
Yes, ma'am.
And according to you, you saw the defendant's sons doing something to your car.
No, ma'am, I did not see him until after I was told that they were doing damage to my car.
Who saw it?
My son.
Step up here. Tell me your name.
Michael.
Michael. Your dad is in court. You went outside to wait for him?
No, I was in the lobby where we were getting ready to get the papers, and as I looked around the corner, because I was seeing if the car was okay, and next thing you know, I saw them. They were sitting there kicking the bumper.
Who was?
Jared, Jevin, and Tyler.
These three boys?
Yes, ma'am.
All three boys?
Yes, ma'am.
Was your car parked there as well?
Yes, ma'am.
How far away from where your car was parked was the plaintiff's car parked?
Okay, the plaintiff's car was parked like in the third parking space on the front of the median. My car was on the back side, about 3 cars down.
So, a good distance away from his car?
Correct.
Step up here, all three of you. Names?
Jared Barnett. Tyler Nagel. Jevin Barnett.
Now, I've read the answer here, and the answer says that you guys were just playing around air karate kicking. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Shh.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Why were you air karate kicking around his car?
Because we were mad because he got away with throwing a softball at my friend Tyler.
So you were mad?
Yes, ma'am.
And you left court, and you went out and found his car. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
And he says you damaged the car.
I didn't.
You didn't. What about you?
I wasn't even near it.
Where were you?
About 5 feet away from me.
You were 5 feet away. You were there.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you air karate kicking the car too?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you know that they were doing that?
No.
You have photographs of the car?
Yes, ma'am.
Where were your parents when you were kicking this car?
They were just leaving.
Were
We
they
came
inside
out.
the courthouse when you went outside?
Yes, ma'am.
You went outside first.
Yes, ma'am. We were going to the car.
Hmm?
We were going to our car.
Which car?
I was going to my car.
But you weren't going to your car.
Yes, I was.
Well, what did you stop at his car for?
We got mad, and so we just started to pretend.
When did you get mad? Between the courthouse door and the time you got to his car, tell me approximately when you got mad.
I was mad.
Inside the courthouse?
Yes, ma'am.
So you didn't just get mad, you were mad before you left the courthouse.
Yes, ma'am.
And what about you? Were you mad or you just following?
I was mad too, ma'am.
What were you mad at?
For him getting away,
Getting away with doing what?
throwing a softball at me, ma'am.
And is that what this case was about that you were in court about?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you hurt when the softball hit you?
Yes, ma'am.
Where did the softball hit you?
On my bottom lower lip on the left,
Mm-hmm.
and I've got a scar.
And what happened? Did the judge dismiss that case?
Yes.
So your sons were angry.
Yes.
You subsequently got a restraining order against them in
I had,
March.
yes. Mm-hmm.
So that then there are now mutual restraining orders.
Yes, ma'am. Correct.
Okay.
Ma'am. My attorney's paralegal. I have an affidavit from her saying that she was there and
No.
seen it.
No. I only take witnesses, not affidavits.
Well, she could not be here today because she was at a case with my attorney.
That's not my problem. That's your problem. I don't take affidavits. But I believe your son, and I don't believe the fact that they were angry and they just went outside and air karate kicked it, and as a result of something else, your car got damaged. Car looks like a relatively new car. Is it a new car?
Yes, ma'am. It's a 2000 Buick Regal.
Yeah, and you get absolutely no satisfaction air karate kicking a car. You get satisfaction when you actually kick it, right, Bird?
That's right.
That's right.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Anthony Downs says 11-year-old Tyler Nagel, 11-year-old Jared Barnett, and 13-year-old Jevin Barnett vandalized his car. The children deny the charge.
So how much did it cost you to fix the car, sir? I have a lot of different bills here. Did $500? Or
That was what we had to pay at the end. Yes, ma'am.
was your deductible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, so now we come to March 8th. You have a counterclaim. Your counterclaim says that he violated the restraining order, and that's the only thing that I'm going to hear. Somebody want to tell me about it?
We do not deny that the boys were in a place where they should not have been, but we are denying all the allegations.
Good, and I find that they kicked his car. I find that based upon several things. Quiet and listen.
Okay.
I don't believe them that they never came into contact with the car with their shoes or their feet. I believe that they were angry because little brother over here got hit with a ball. They felt it was his fault. Judge dismissed the case. They went outside, and little boys don't get any satisfaction air karateing a car. They get satisfaction if they actually come into contact with the car. And unless the air karate kick theory did this damage to the car, somebody did it. So I find that they did it. Now let's move to your counterclaim, madam, which is the only thing I'm going to hear right now. Got a restraining order. You say that there was continual harassment after that.
After we filed the restraining order,
How are you related to this case?
he's suing me too because those are my children.
Which children?
This one and this one.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I was coming home from picking up my son Jared from the roller rink, and I pushed the button to open up my garage door, and he was coming from the side of my yard, down my driveway, and in front of me.
Yes.
So I called her husband because my husband was gone, and he came over, and then we called the police.
And what happened?
They went over there and talked to him, and he said that he was in bed sleeping at the time, and that there was nothing we could do because there wasn't a third party involved.
So you saw him walk from the side of your house.
Yeah,
What's
well, he
next?
was running, ma'am.
Running. What's next?
I have pictures where he was on 3 different occasions taking his children to school. I have pictures of him driving by the house where he could have taken 3 to 4 other routes, which were shorter than the one he took, but I feel he took these just to make himself known that he was there.
So he drove his children to school and he could have taken a different route and avoided going on your street. Is that what you're saying? It's
3 or
not
4
harassment.
different
What's
routes.
next? Anything else?
Yes, ma'am.
I don't want to hear you.
I still have 2 court documents stating that there was no damage to the car.
Listen carefully to me. I find that there was damage to the car as a result of your boys kicking the car. They practically confessed. The only thing they didn't confess to was that their feet, when they were doing the karate kicks, actually came in contact with the car. I don't have to repeat it to you 20 times. They were seen doing karate kicks to the car, and there's damage to a brand new car. Should have watched them more carefully.
Ma'am.
Your counterclaim's dismissed for harassment. Listen to me. The matter was resolved as of February 16th. The only thing that I'm entertaining is the damage to your car. Listen to me very carefully. That cost you $500, right?
And a car rental.
I don't care about
We had
the
to,
car
we had to
rental.
rent a car because it was getting fixed.
Do you think that I believe that when there is an ongoing problem with harassment between 2 families, listen to me very carefully. You're not receiving. When there is ongoing problems with 2 families, like there is with these 2 families involving children, that all the adults aren't a little at fault? I believe that they're all a little at fault. The adults. All the adults.
Can I say something? The day that the restraining order took place is the day that, before this court date, they said I did this to her house.
I'm dismissing her counterclaim for harassment, sir. You have to understand that. If you listened instead of had your own thing going on in your head, you would understand that. I don't find driving down a street or coming from the side of her house harassment. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, so now you're in a receiving mode. So being in a receiving mode, I'm telling you, sir, that I believe that when there is an ongoing pattern that requires police, prosecutors, detectives, court personnel to waste their time to deal with childish behavior, and adults are involved, you don't get your car rental. You got it?
But I didn't do the
But
damage.
you do get your out-of-pocket expenses for them kicking your car, which they did. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
They had beaten Michael up several times.
He was found guilty of assault battery against my son, Jared.
They had me down, so I was kicking, punching, trying to get my way out of the fight.
The father should have just broke it up, had boys shaking their
Right.
hands, and go on with life.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Kettleson versus Kettleson. Step forward, please.
28-year-old cashier Jennifer Kettleson is suing her brother, 25-year-old welder Nathaniel Kettleson, for unpaid loans, the return of her belongings, and damages from an assault. Nathaniel is countersuing for storage fees.
Ms. Kettleson, the defendant is your brother. I've read your papers, your complaint, and your answer. Nowhere in the complaint or the answer do I see the need for any child witnesses, so I'm going to have her take this child outside.
Come on, buddy.
All right. According to what I've read, you were living in Alaska with your children. Things weren't going well there. You spoke with your brother. Your brother offered to open his house to you if you wanted to relocate from Alaska to Montana, where he lived with his family. You sold some stuff, packed up the rest, and moved in with your brother. Things did not work out. You got into a major brouhaha with him, either a week or two later. According to you, he kicked you out of the house.
Right.
You want him to pay for the following: $500, which is what you say it cost you for a motel to stay with your family; $1,400, which is the amount that you say you had to borrow for airline tickets because someone else said that you could come to stay with them in New York; a couple of $1,000 for your aggravation. In addition, you claim that he had borrowed some money from you,
That's correct.
several $100s, and he didn't pay you back all of the money, right?
Correct.
Mr. Kettleson, your brother, has a counterclaim. His counterclaim is you left, and you left a whole bunch of your stuff there, and then he and his family were relocating. Because he was a nice guy, he took your stuff with him when he relocated, and the van wasn't big enough to hold his stuff, so he had to put his stuff in storage, and he wants you to pay for the storage for his stuff because he took better care of your stuff, right?
That's correct.
Are you all nuts or what? Ms. Kettleson, if you go and live with somebody, a member of your family, and things don't work out, you believe that there's a contract, and the contract existed between you and your brother to provide a home for you and your children, even if the situation became intolerable? And that's why you believe he's responsible for this $1,900 in expenses you had to move out of his house?
Your Honor, he called me up and he said that we can come down and stay with him. And he seemed very, very polite about it and everything. And he had to convince me to come down.
You're a big adult. Do you think if a living arrangement doesn't work out with a relative, you're entitled to further relocation expenses?
Yes, I do.
Wrong. I don't have to hear anymore. Forget it. That doesn't happen. And your aggravation as a result of that also doesn't happen. You take your chances. You moved from Alaska, where you weren't doing well, to Montana in the hopes that you would do better. Didn't work out, so you moved on. That's not a lawsuit. That's called unfortunate.
Your Honor, he said that he would be sending my stuff to me. I have a letter from him about that, and...
Okay, so he has some of your belongings.
Right.
Fine, let's talk about the loans first. We'll talk about the belongings second. Loans, when did you lend him money?
I lent him money on October 10th, or 18th.
How much?
$300.
Is that right?
That's correct.
Did you pay her back?
I paid 200 of that back.
You have any proof of that?
No.
She says you
other
paid
than
back
testimony.
$150.
Yes.
Wasn't expecting it to go this far.
Okay. What was the next loan? When was that?
October 18th.
What were the circumstances surrounding that loan?
He brought his daughter over so I can watch her and while he went somewhere, and he asked me for $100.
Is that right?
I believe so, yes.
This
Did you
is
give
at
her
the
back that
hotel.
money?
No, I did not.
Fine. So you owe her $250. That's easy. What else?
It says right here, I will get my taxes back in about 2 weeks. It should be enough to mail your stuff. What do you want me to do with the stuff that you left with Maurice? Don't worry, I am going to send all that you left there.
What kind of stuff do you have?
My computer, my belongings, my
Don't take my belongings.
Anything
Your computer.
and
Okay, my
everything.
computer, our baby books.
There's no baby books.
Yes, there is. My kids' clothes. I have a leather jacket in there. Picture frames, beanie babies, sleeping bags, all sorts of things.
Okay. Did you send him any money to send you back that stuff?
No, he was supposed to send it with the money that he owes me.
Well, that's fine. You have all that stuff? It's
Oh,
all
yeah.
packed
Oh,
up?
yes.
And you owe her $250. Do you
Yes.
think it'll cost more than $250 to send it?
Far more.
How much?
It was $174 a box. She wants it insured and priority mail and everything else with it. It was basically going to round off to about $200 a box to mail
Your
her stuff.
Honor, when I
Just a minute. How many boxes of stuff do you think you have?
2 boxes, about 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet, stuffed full.
And how much do you think that that's going to cost?
About $200 a box to mail it.
So about $400.
About $400 total to mail it.
Do you want to spend that?
No, I went to the post office in Montana and I asked them how much it is, and they said $50 for 70 pounds.
Well, I'm not going to guess how much it is to mail all your stuff back. He's not responsible to you to mail all your stuff back.
He said right here that he will. So he's
He's not
responsible.
No, he's not responsible for paying for it. It's your stuff. You left it
He owes
there.
me the money. He was
Fine,
supposed to...
you're not, Miss Kittleson. He owes you $250. What if it costs $500 to mail back your stuff?
It doesn't. I went to the post office and it cost $50 for 70 pounds. I made sure that those 2 boxes were less than 70 pounds.
How did you make sure of that?
Because I know how much I brought down in those boxes.
Miss Kittleson, you're going to have to make arrangements for payments. The stuff is all boxed. He's prepared to turn it over to you. You have to make arrangements to get it. That's your job. Do you understand?
Yes, I do.
Good. In the meantime, he's going to give you the $250 that he owes you, and that may help to defray some of your costs.
He should also pay for the tickets, at least from
don't believe so.
Montana to New York.
Oh, he's not paying for that at all. I just explained that to you.
Okay, then the hotel and stuff.
He's not paying for that either.
He should
Salvation
have
Army
to
and my
because
wife's
it was
boss paid
his
for this
fault that
hotel.
I had to leave. He said, come on down here and stay with me. You can stay with me until you get settled. And then he
And
grabs
then there
me
was
by-
a fight.
Yes. And
And it didn't work out. So you left. And evidently you left not under terrible circumstances.
Oh, yes, it was.
Well, he said the next day you were babysitting for his daughter.
2 days later.
2 days later, you were
that's
babysitting
his-
for his daughter,
his
which is when you came in.
daughter, his
Miss
daughter.
Kettleson, get over it. He doesn't pay for your airfare. He doesn't pay for your hotel. He pays you the money that he owes you, which is $250, and you make arrangements to get your stuff, which is boxed, period.
I have to pay $1,349 because for my airfare ticket from Montana to New York because of the way he was to me.
No, no, no.
Same
Yes.
No, Miss Kettleson.
$1,349. She
No,
could have rented
shh.
a place to live in Montana.
Miss Kettleson, what if you decided to relocate to Paris? And the airfare to Paris is $5,000. You think you should pay $5,000?
If that's the case.
Bye. You count the suits likewise dismissed. It's nonsense.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Business owners Diana Irwin and her husband Stephen are suing former friends 19-year-old T.J. Cuddy and 24-year-old Rick Large. The Irwins say they hired the defendants to look after their house, and instead they threw a party. T.J. has a separate lawsuit against the Irwins for the return of a down payment on a bike.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, this is case number 572 and 560. One is Irwin versus Cuddy Large, and the other one is a cross complaint, Cuddy versus Irwin. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mr. and Mrs. Irwin, I'm going to address your claim first, and then I will address the claim by one of the defendants, Mr. Cuddy. According to your complaint, you hired these 2 young men to do some work in your house while you were gone on some sort of vacation or business trip. And they were given a whole list of things to do. They had access to your home. And it is your claim that they threw a major party while they were there, and that as a result of that, your home was invaded by a large group of people, that some things were destroyed or damaged, and a substantial amount of money stolen. And you're suing both of these young men for $5,000.
Correct.
The defendant said it was no big deal party, just a few friends, nobody went into the house. And Mr. Cuddy has a cross complaint, which I will get to in a moment. Who's Mr. Cuddy?
Would be me, Your
That's
Honor.
you. All right, how did you know these 2 young men?
Rick Large had worked for us, done some work for our business for about a year,
What kind of business?
a computer business. And Mr. Cuddy, my husband had known him for probably about 12 years, and I'd known him about 6 years. And he was also a neighbor of ours.
And you gave both these young men access to your home.
Actually, Rick Large was the one that was hired to come in and feed the dogs, check emails, pick up mail, pick up the newspaper, and do a few chores around the house, and we paid him $300 for the week to do that.
You only paid Mr. Large.
Correct.
Okay, were they supposed to stay in the house?
No.
Okay, and what did you find when you came home?
When we first they came to pick us up at the airport, and they were supposed to come in our truck, but they came in Mr. Cuddy's mother's truck because they said they couldn't find the keys to the vehicle, which also has our home key on it and a speed pass. When we got home, we gave them T-shirts we'd bought for them, and they left, and we were home for a few minutes, and our doorbell rang. And our neighbor came over and was very upset and said that while we were gone...
Can't tell me what your neighbor said.
Oh, okay. Well, we started looking around and noticed things that were moved, found a disc jockey card on my table in my family room, found broken beer bottle and beer still on the floor in the family room.
A broken beer bottle?
Mm-hmm. We went to open our garbage compactor, and it was jammed. When we finally were able to pry it open, there was the remains of grapefruit rinds, a big vodka bottle that had been jammed in there. When we went upstairs that night to go to bed, we could tell that our guest room and our room both had been remade, the bedding had been remade. And my husband went over to his side of the bed and saw on the floor a grungy-looking T-shirt wrapped around a rag that was left there. At that point, we did call the guys to come back after we found out about the party and confronted them that night. Their response was, "It's no big deal. We had a few friends over. What's the problem?" The next day, we found the money was missing. We found...
What money?
In the drawer in my desk upstairs. We keep money in a...
bank bag.
Bank bag. But as we started going through the house, like I said, we started finding more and more things that had been destroyed. On the nightstand in our bedroom, there's a watermark, which I do have a picture of that.
Tell me about this party, gentlemen. Hello.
Well, Your Honor...
I want you to look at me,
No,
and I want you to make sure of one thing.
Okay.
How old are you?
I'm 19.
I want you to tell me about the party. Everything about the party.
Okay.
I want you to just realize it. The truth will set you free. Don't try to scam me with you had a couple of friends over for a little barbecue in the backyard. I want to know how many people were there, inside or outside. How many invited, how many uninvited. How many just showed up?
How many people showed up? Approximately on Friday night, we had about 40 people show up.
Okay, so you had about 40. And how many people had you in... Big, I read your papers, so, but you know, I've had teenagers, so I know.
I understand.
Okay, good. So you had about 40.
Your Honor?
Could there have been 50?
It's a possibility, yes, but
Oh,
it's not
so
likely.
there could have been 50. How many did you invite?
I personally didn't invite anybody to the party.
Who did?
That would have been Rick.
How many did you invite to the party?
3 or 4 people.
Shh. So you invited 3 or 4 and 40 or 50 or so showed up. Did you call the police?
No.
Why not?
Because everybody was having a good time. We were very responsible, kept the house locked at all times. Everybody was strictly in the backyard only.
Well,
and
people...
I didn't want to ruin a good time.
Well,
Judge,
Mr.
the police were called.
Just a second. Mr. Large, you know that your conduct was unacceptable. You had a party, you had alcohol at the party? Speak.
Yes.
Who purchased the alcohol?
I purchased some of the alcohol.
All right. How much beer did you purchase, sir?
I didn't purchase beer. I purchased a bottle of gin.
Yes.
And that was it.
You mean that 40 or 50 people survived for an evening of revelry on one bottle of gin?
No, actually, people brought their own alcohol.
Really? So they were smart enough to come and bring their own stuff. Now, so you want to tell me how many hours this party lasted?
I don't know, about 8.
All right. So are you telling me, sir, that in an 8-hour party where everybody was drinking, nobody had to use a bathroom?
No, actually, they did, and I instructed them they weren't to go in the house.
So where did they use a bathroom? Where did they go potty?
I told them that they needed to go to a McDonald's down the street or somewhere down the street.
Sure.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Diana and Stephen Irwin claim former friends T.J. Cuddy and Rick Large were hired to look after their home. The Irwins say the boys threw a wild party and trashed their house.
So who slept in the beds?
Nobody slept in. I slept in a guest room, on the guest room bed.
Well, is that part of your agreement?
Well,
that you were supposed to stay in the house?
They let me, I actually live with the Irwins. They told me they treated me like a son. They had welcomed me everywhere. You know, they said, you're welcome.
Was it your arrangement on this weekend that you were to stay in the house?
No.
Miss Irwin,
Yes.
let me make myself clear. We are not going to entertain your missed money.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you why. Because it doesn't sound logical to me that somebody goes away and leaves two young men with access to their home and leaves what you claim was $8,000 in cash in your top desk drawer. Doesn't sound kosher to me. So I'm going to entertain your claim of whatever damage was done in your house, because I believe that both of these young men are absolutely responsible for that. Because if they invited 3 or 4 people and 50 people showed up, the first thing that you do if you are responsible is you get on the phone, you call the police, and you say there are people trespassing on this property and I want them removed. They chose not to do that because, according to Mr. Lodge, they were all having a good time in this party that lasted 8 hours. To me, a party lasts 4 hours and then your company goes home and that's it. So, tell me exactly what was damaged, how much it's going to cost to fix it, because that they are responsible for.
Well, I did want to say that the police were called 2 nights.
It was a long party. It was a long party.
Well, and
you know that you don't leave teenage boys in your house, 19, 20, 21 years old, in your house and say, the house is now empty. Because you know what happens? The word gets out into the street. Party! And everybody comes.
They did note that they had planned the party well before we were out of town even.
Right. And how did they do that? Did they do that by hiring, according to what I read in your complaint, a disc jockey?
Yes.
Was that disc jockey hired 3 weeks in advance?
No, ma'am.
When?
We called the disc jockey 2 hours before a party.
2 hours before the 3 or 4 people that you had invited arrived?
He was one of those.
Huh?
He was the person.
2 hours before the 3 or 4 people that you were having over for intimate barbecue in the backyard arrived, you called a disc jockey.
Well, Your Honor, the disc jockey was a personal friend of Rick's, and when he called his friend, the DJ, he was at another party, and instead of keeping that party there, he decided to bring it with him. That's how all those people ended up at the Irwin's house.
They get put off the premises by the police.
Yeah. We understand that what we did was wrong. That
Perfect.
night.
So then let's get to it. How much damage was caused?
Well, we had to have the house rekeyed because we found that the...
You're absolutely right. Rekeyed. How much? Let me just get out my little calculator.
75.
75.75.
The
What else?
car had to be rekeyed, 96.54. Now, on the table, I don't know how, or the nightstand, I don't know. I haven't gotten a quote on how much it will cost to fix the ring that's on there.
Do you have a picture of it for me to look at?
Yes, I do.
That's not a major deal. Do you have children?
Yes.
How old are your children?
25 and 27.
Ever left your children alone over the weekend and had a group of people over there that you didn't invite?
Yes, but they're much more responsible than that.
But it's happened. I know, I have kids.
But I think
I've had large parties, unanticipated parties at my house.
But I think a difference is it's my children and it's their home. And
that's why you trust your children. You don't trust strangers. You don't give strangers, teenagers, and those just above teen. How old are you?
I'm 24, but they always told me they treated me like a son.
Don't give me baloney.
Okay.
If they treated you like a son and you treated them like a parent, you would have been more careful with their property. Now let's get to Mr. Cuddy. Mr. Cuddy, according to your complaint, Mr. and Mrs. Irwin were very nice to you. You wanted a motorcycle.
Yes.
And Mr. Irwin agreed to advance you some money for the motorcycle.
Yes, he agreed to be the lien holder on the title.
Right. According to what I read, it was $5,000. Is that right?
$4,800 in these.
So almost $5,000. You put in $1,000 and he paid $4,000. Is that right?
That's correct.
And then he repossessed the motorcycle.
That's correct.
And you want the money that you put down on the motorcycle.
Correct.
That's your claim. Where is the motorcycle now?
It is in storage.
And the title is in your name?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, then you have to return to him $1,009.46.
But, Your Honor.
Yes.
I'm stuck with a bike, and I have a consignment agreement from the dealer that shows that clearly that the value of the bike now, I'm going to take a loss.
Listen to me. If there's bad business on your part, but I can understand Mr. Cuddy. He put in $1,009.46. He had an agreement with you. It was a verbal agreement that You were going to be the lien holder on the bike, and he was going to pay for it. You cannot keep that bike and not give him back his $1,000. You can't do it. So on your counterclaim, Mr. Cuddy, I am awarding you the $1,009.46. On your claim, Mr. and Mrs. Irwin, for these boys doing damage to your home, you are entitled to $197.29 with the admonition to you, keep strangers out of your house and don't give them access to your house because it's always trouble. And with the admonition to you, Mr. Lodge, that if you say to me that these people treated you like you were a child of theirs, one of theirs, and was very good to you, you certainly didn't respect them nor their property in a way that I would like one of my children to behave. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Their house looked better when we left than when we got there.
The reality was it was 2 nights of parties and a barbecue.
He said that the next time Diana went out of town, he wanted us to throw a party again and invite him.
It's closure. That's what we purpose of coming.
He's a shady guy. I mean, he's really a slime ball.
Hopefully we can all move on with our lives and just go forward.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Clem versus Randolph. Step forward, please.
31-year-old home siding installer Mike Clem is suing his fiance's brother, 17-year-old James Randolph, for kicking his car in a fit of rage. James says he became upset when Mike refused to give him a ride to work.
Mr. Clem, the defendant is your soon-to-be brother-in-law,
Yes, Your Honor.
and he damaged your car
Yes, ma'am.
in a fit of anger,
Yes, Your Honor.
and you want him to pay for it.
Yes.
You acknowledge, sir, that you damaged this car, is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, tell me why you did that, and when you did that, and why you shouldn't be responsible for paying for it.
Well, at the time, I was extremely angry.
What were you angry at?
We got in a little fight because I was supposed to go to work that day. He said he would, and then...
He would what?
He would take me to work.
At what time was this?
It was maybe around 11:30ish.
So at 11:30 you asked him, and he said he could, and then what happened?
It was around 1 o'clock or so. He said, he started walking out the door, and I asked him again. Then he said he wasn't going to take me anywhere.
Did he say why?
He said he was going the opposite way.
So what did you do?
I got mad, and I went back in the house.
Tell me about his car.
Well, after I went in the house, he came inside, and he started yelling at me. My mother...
What was he yelling?
He was just saying, you jerk, and things like that.
Why? Had you said anything nasty to him?
At the time, I didn't know.
Go ahead.
So then he kept on, saying the same things. My mom tried to get him, to sit down and everything and just calm down. He pushed my mother out of the way, and then I got extremely mad. And then we both ended up actually getting in a fist fight.
We haven't gotten to the car yet.
Well, after that, after he left, I was very angry. I had to do something. He pushed Mom out of the way. So I went up to the car, and
Which car?
This car is up on blocks.
And what'd you do?
No, I just kicked it because I was so mad.
I would like you to tell me your version of what happened. At 11:30 he asked you to take him to work?
No, ma'am.
Tell me what happened.
It was about 11 o'clock that morning. Him and his sister, my fiance Stacy, went into town and to the store and some other odd and ends. At that point, he told her, I got to be at work at 12 noon. And to the best of my knowledge, she never agreed to take him. So when she got back with my truck, I had to go to work that day, which was on a Sunday, but I had to be at work. So he asked me, he said, can you take me to work? He said, you got to take me. I said, Keith, I said, no, I don't. I said, that's out of my way, and I said, I got to go to work. Well, he went back in the house. He slammed my door. Then he came back out when Stacy exited my house. She went to work with me that day and said something to her, and she said, Keith, she said, I can't take you. I'm going with Mike. Well, he got mad and went back into my house, slammed my door a second time. Well, then at that point in time, that's when I entered my house. And we got into a little screaming match. There was punches thrown, but there really was no connection to him. His mother did get in the middle of it, try to break it up. But to the best of my knowledge, and you may ask Stacy, she did not get pushed or hit.
Okay. Now, when did you notice any damage to your car?
It was the following day. I was out in the yard with Stacy and my uncle, and I happened to look in my yard, and I seen a big dent in my quarter panel. When I went up to look at it, me and my uncle, you could visibly see a footprint.
Fine. So now, Mr. Randolph, I'd like you to tell me why you are not responsible for the damage.
Well, as I told you before about my mom.
I don't care about your mom. That doesn't give you license to go out and hurt his car. What's next?
But the thing is, you know, I was so angry, and the car is old, it's all in blocks, there's a bunch of trash inside of it.
Is that your defense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Can I see the pictures of the car and the estimate for the repair, please?
Yes, ma'am. And you can visibly see there is tires on the car, wheels and tires. At one time, there was a back tire off, and that was for us trying to push the dent out, and it would not come out.
How many times did you kick the car, sir?
4 times on each side.
That's nasty. Okay. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,490. Thank you.
Thank you.
He's excused. You may step out.
If you're going to do the damage, you're going to have to pay the price.
I had to do something. You know, I couldn't go after him, of course, because he is a big guy. He probably would have hurt me.
I gave him 3.5 months, and he never gave me $1.
They're going to be getting married soon. I don't know if I'm invited. If I am, way to go. If not, oh well.
Yeah, this is case number 519 on the calendar in the matter of Gaines versus Roderick. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Ms. Gaines, it is your claim that the defendant filed false assault charges against you after an incident that I can only describe as road rage. You want to tell me what started this incident and when it happened?
Okay. I was on my lunch break.
What date?
It was on December 19th.
2001?
2000.
Okay. Go ahead.
What happened was Donna had ran a red light.
You didn't know her before?
No, I didn't. I didn't know her. She had ran a red light, cut across me. I looked over, and then she flipped me off. And then we started fussing back and forth. She had a phone. She had her cell phone on her.
So she was in front of you?
She was on the right side of me at that point.
So she was on the right side of you on her cell phone?
Correct.
Go ahead.
She started, at that point, she started coming across the line, over like she was trying to hit me. And I didn't know what was going on. So I moved out of her way to prevent an accident. Also, I noticed she had her kid in the car, in the back seat. So, you know, I'm trying to get out the way to avoid an accident. She pulled over at the same time.
Behind you or in front of you?
Behind me.
And she got out of her car?
Correct.
And then what happened?
Okay, at that point, I felt she had a kid in the car. She was endangering my life. She was endangering her kid's life. As a citizen, I went over there and asked, what is your problem? You're driving recklessly. You need to watch what you're doing. And
is that what you said to her? Just that way?
Correct, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
And I left. I got back in my car. I didn't run. I got back in my car, and I proceeded back to work.
What happened next?
Okay. What happened, the vehicle was not registered to me. It was my roommate's father's vehicle. And, of course, it has a distinguished license plate. It had a name on there. So, apparently, I guess, Donna had filed a false report, which I have the report here.
Can I see the report, please?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Keep going.
Okay. Donna had filed a false report, and apparently the detective was trying to find out who the vehicle belonged to. He called...
Ultimately, you were arrested?
No, I was not arrested. Ultimately, I was charged.
Ultimately, the charges were dismissed. Is that right?
Correct.
And you are suing her for your attorney's fees, lost wages, and everything else
Correct.
for filing this false police report. Okay. Now I'll hear your version of the events, Ms. Roderick.
Okay, Your Honor. First of all, I did not run a red light because where I pulled out of, there was no red light. It was a stop sign. It was a side road. I was coming out from my house. I was making a left-hand turn, just like as I should have made a left-hand turn, and all of a sudden, I hear honking in the back of me.
That's incorrect.
I don't want you to interrupt her.
Okay.
I heard honking in the back of me. I'd had my 3-year-old son with me. I was in the left lane, and she was behind me honking. I then pulled to the right lane to let her pass because she was obviously aggravated, honking her horn.
Don't interrupt her. You're interrupting.
Okay.
I moved into the right lane to let her pass. Figured she was in a hurry, you know. And then she didn't pass me. She stayed next to my car, and she was the one flipping me off, I couldn't hear what she was saying, but it was obvious that what she was saying was foul language, flipping me off. She then tried to put her car into my lane. I then slowed down. She then proceeded, she got in front of me, and this is while traffic is moving along us. She slowed down, and then she stopped her car in the middle of traffic, in the middle of the lane. She stopped in front of me. I couldn't pull to the side of the road because there's a sidewalk, there's no space to pull over. She then rushed out of her car. I had my cell phone because I was going to call the police. She came rushing out of her car towards my car. I have my 3-year-old son in the car. I got out of my car because I didn't know at this point she'd tried to run me off of the road. I thought she was crazy already at this point. I got out of the car. I told her that she needed to get back in the car. I was going to call the police.
If you were afraid of me, why didn't you drive off?
I don't talk.
Ms. Gaines,
because you were
with a phone.
You were in front of, she was in front of me.
Don't answer her. This is interesting.
She was in front of me, or I would have gotten away from her.
There is
Don't
a
respond
reverse
to
on
her.
your car.
You're demonstrating that you have a bad temper.
Okay.
So you're not helping yourself.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes, I understand.
Good. So now you're up to the point where you have your cell phone and you're going to call the police.
Yes, and I told her if she, and we were in the middle of the street, traffic was going by, we were both in danger, and I was worried about my 3-year-old son in the car because we were right in the lane. I told her if she did not get back in her car and get going, I was going to call the police. She was in my face, threatening me, you don't know who you're messing with, and I attempted to call the police. She then tried to grab my cell phone from me.
How did she do that?
Well, she went to grab it, but it wasn't, I didn't let go of it. I pulled it back.
Okay.
At this point, she was then screaming. She grabbed me by the hair, pulled my hair, still cussing at me, and then she hit me in the forehead. At this point, I was scared. My son was crying. He was very upset. She got in her car and took off. I was very shaken, and I kept going. I pulled over when I could, and I'm on the phone trying to dial the police to let them know I'd just been assaulted. And I'm talking to the police, and I see a lady on this pulled over on the side of the road. She's waving at me, come here, and I then pulled up to this lady, and she asked me, are you okay? I saw everything. I got her license plate number for you, because it happened so quick. I was just stressed out. I was nervous. Luckily, the witness that I didn't know, she had saw everything. She gave me the license plate number. She was running late for an appointment, but she did leave her phone number for me in case she needed to be a witness in this.
You have a police report?
Yes, I do.
May I see it, please?
May I say something else later, Your Honor?
Well, this totally independent witness who did stop to give the defendant her name, her telephone number, was very clear in the statement that she gave to the police. The police interviewed her via telephone. She indicated that she saw you get out of the front of your car, which was pulled in front of hers, and the two of you began to argue. Then you, who had gotten out of the front car, hit the other female in the face with her hand, and then you ran back to your car and fled the scene.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Valerie Gaines says she was arrested when Donna Roderick filed a false report with police. Donna says Valerie attacked her in a fit of road rage.
So here we have a witness who clearly says she observed you do, Ms. Gaines, exactly what the defendant said that you did, which was to assault her. Just a second, I have some questions. Oh, you want to tell me something? I'll hear you. Then I'll ask you my questions.
Okay. I saw a lady or a person that was in a vehicle about 3 light poles away. In the statement, it should have showed, because I believe it's on there, she was looking through her rearview mirror.
So what?
We were parallel to her. She could not even see my back.
Don't tell me what you couldn't see. That's what you told the police.
Okay.
That's what you put in the police report.
Okay.
Can't tell me what you could or could not see.
And if I hit her, did she make a downward movement? Because if I would have hit her, she wouldn't have stayed in her standing
Ms. Gaines,
upright.
I don't know what you would have done, what you could have done when you hit her, Ms.
Right,
Gaines.
correct.
So now I have a few questions for you. Okay. When were you supposed to go to trial on this case? Okay. The first date?
The first day I was supposed to go, I guess, January 24th.
Oh.
I did not know because...
Just a second.
Okay.
Did you retain an attorney?
I retained an attorney after I had went through 2 different... I went to court. Yeah, 2 times I had to go to court. And then at that time, I decided to obtain a lawyer.
Just one second. You went to court once, and you asked for an adjournment to get a lawyer. Don't play, I don't understand you, Judge Judy. You asked for an adjournment to get a lawyer, and then you came back to court, and you didn't have a lawyer. So you asked for another postponement to get a lawyer?
No.
Well, what did you go to court twice for, Miss Gaines?
Okay. The first time I had to go to court, there was a bench warrant placed on me.
So now you got a bench warrant and you appear. Okay.
Correct.
So you appear. And what happened when you appeared? What did the judge tell you?
I can't remember exactly.
Judge tell you that you should get a lawyer?
Well, yes. At the
Okay. Now, then you went back to court the second time. Did you come back to court the second time with or without a lawyer?
No, I did not.
What do you mean, no, you did not? I don't understand what that means. You did not come back with a lawyer.
I felt that it was a frivolous case, and I was
pay
hoping
attention
that
to my question.
Yes.
You were told to come back with a lawyer, and you did not come back with a lawyer.
No, I did not.
And then the judge said to you, I told you to come back with a lawyer. I'm going to postpone the case again and come back with a lawyer. Correct?
At that time, I thought we were going to go to trial, and I was not going to have a lawyer, but then we had to go for it because I thought we were going to dismiss the case. I was trying to get the case dismissed because I felt it was a frivolous case.
So then you got a lawyer.
And they wanted to pursue it. Then I did get a lawyer.
And when you came to court with a lawyer, on the third occasion, did you go to trial?
Yes, I did.
You did?
Yes.
Very interesting. So the first time the lawyer appeared in court, you were ready to go to trial?
Correct.
But there was no trial?
No.
There was no trial because?
It got postponed. Because
it got postponed why?
The judge postponed it. Because of time.
Her counsel did, Your Honor.
The time, the judge,
Her counsel
the judge
did.
proposed.
How many times did the witness, Miss Roderick, appear in court? I'm speaking. How many times did this witness appear for you, this witness who had nothing to do with this incident, wasn't your friend, wasn't your sister, wasn't your mother, wasn't anybody else, how many times did this person take time off from work or other business to come to court to testify on your behalf?
I believe it was 3 times.
Okay. And on those 3 occasions, she did not get to testify, is that right?
No, she didn't. It was continued again.
Right. That's what defense lawyers do. They continue. Put your hand down. They continue cases because what they do is they figure they're going to wear down a witness. And eventually, this Good Samaritan witness is going to get fed up with taking time off from work to come to testify at this trial.
I believe that's exactly what happened.
Well, I don't know whether it's exactly what happened or not, but it's probably pretty close. In any event, Ms. Gaines, you have absolutely no civil case against the defendant.
Excuse me, Your Honor?
Absolutely none. I have to believe that she made up this story. Now, perhaps if it were just the two of you, I would have a much easier time in believing that she just made up this story out of spite. However, the police interviewed a totally independent witness who appeared in court, maybe not 3 occasions, maybe 2 occasions, when either you or your lawyer requested a continuance and was prepared to testify consistent with her statement to the police, which was that she saw you hit her. Go ahead.
Excuse me. Okay. I would like to say that it was not my lawyer that kept continuing the case. It was the judge, because there was so much time that was being delayed by other cases.
Fine. It was the judge. It was the judge who continued the case.
Okay. And the main thing was I was found not guilty.
No, you weren't. You never went to trial.
I did go to trial. I was found not guilty. Here's a deposition. I was found not guilty.
So you did go to trial with just the two of you testifying,
yes, and
but
we
not the witness.
testified.
Exactly. The witness had missed work enough.
Okay.
I missed work too. Also, I have
Who
stress.
cares? You hit her.
I missed stress. I did not hit her.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
I did not hit this
yes,
woman.
You did.
I did not touch her. I don't know what her problem is.
I just
Miss Roderick, I am not prepared to say, based upon what I have read today, you were not found innocent. You were not found innocent.
That disposition says I was found not guilty.
That's what it says. There is a difference between innocent and not guilty. The not guilty says that the district attorney took the case to trial because the district attorney felt that there was sufficient evidence to go to trial. And after trial, either the court or if there was a jury found that the district attorney had not sustained their burden beyond a reasonable doubt, which is clearly not the standard of proof in a civil trial. Civil trial, in this trial, the quantum of proof is a preponderance of evidence, which is more evidence than not.
Okay.
Clearly, the police had absolute justification for issuing a bench warrant for you. There is an independent witness who unfortunately didn't show up for the third time for trial, who told the police that she saw you hit her. So you have no case, Miss Gaines.
How far away
Your
was
case is
she?
dismissed.
How far
I have no
away
idea. She's not here.
What?
That's all.
Oh, I'm railroaded.
Excuse
I've
me,
been
step back.
railroaded. I can't believe this.
I'm glad that Judge Judy was able to see through her.
I've lost a lot of money.
I did the right thing by calling the cops.
This is BS.
If she needs to say that to make people think that's what it was, that's fine.
I did not touch her.
All I know is she did put her hands on me.
I got a lawyer to fight my case, and this is all BS.
I don't know why it escalated. Maybe she was having a bad day.
I'm telling you, I didn't touch her.
She's irate right now, screaming and yelling.
I'm telling you, this whole thing is BS. I should have just went on my own.
That's on her. I don't really, that just shows how ignorant she is.
This whole thing is BS.
Look at her attitude now. She didn't touch me, though.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Phillips versus Crane. Step forward.
21-year-old car service writer Billy Phillips is suing his ex-girlfriend, 21-year-old receptionist Emily Crane, for a down payment on a car. Emily says Billy took the vehicle back.
Mr. Phillips, let me see if I understand your complaint.
Okay.
I really wasn't quite sure that I was reading it correctly.
Okay.
You and the defendant dated. She needed a car or wanted a car. You made the following agreement with her. You would purchase a car in your name.
Correct.
You put down the deposit, which was $1,000,
Correct.
and you were going to take care of the expenses on the car until she turned 21.
That is correct.
And when she turned 21, she would take over all of the payments and give you your $1,000.
Correct.
Before she turned 21, the two of you broke up.
Yes.
So after you broke up, you went and took back the car
Correct.
before she was 21.
Yes. In the beginning
Now
of...
you have possession of the car,
Correct.
and you want her to pay you the $1,000 deposit.
Correct.
Are you nuts? Mr. Phillips, your original agreement with her was she turns 21, she gives you back your $1,000, and she takes over the car payments. And when she's paid it off, you give her the pink slip to the car, so that it's titled in her.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
What was the reason you took the car back before she turned 21?
Because the car was still in my name.
Oh, but that's not her fault.
I'm not saying it was, Your Honor. I just...
But you breached the agreement, sir.
So...
You breached the agreement. She didn't breach the agreement by not turning 21 earlier.
I'm not saying
you know,
she
she has to
did.
wait until she's 21. That's something beyond her control. You breached the agreement by taking the car back. Now, if she had turned 21 and she did not give you back your $1,000 and assumed the car payments, then you have a right to take the car back and say, you breached the agreement. You didn't give me back my $1,000, but you made it impossible for her to perform her agreement with you because you repossessed the car. Why do you think you're entitled to your $1,000?
Basically because that was the agreement we agreed on.
No, it wasn't. The agreement that you had, sir, was that she was going to give you the $1,000, pay off the car, and have a car. That was the agreement. She wasn't going to give you the $1,000 and pay off a car with you in possession of the car. She was going to have a car to drive around in. You took back the car before she turned 21. Am I getting through to you?
Yes, you are getting...
Perfect. Case dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yeah, this is case number 534 on the calendar in the matter of Trester versus Richardson. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
Miss Trester, the defendant was a roommate of yours, and it is your claim that when she moved out, she purposely bleached your clothes, and in addition, she either took or stole some of your property.
Yes.
Defendant says nonsense. When did you move in together?
We moved in August.
How many people were sharing the
There's
apartment?
4 of us all together.
Was it an apartment, a
It
townhouse?
was a townhome, three levels.
Were you going to school or working?
I do both.
And the other people?
My brother and the other roommate work, and Layla was working at the time.
When did you move out?
I moved out on November 9th, 2000.
Had you signed the lease?
Yes, I had.
So you broke your lease when you moved out?
No, I had cleared it with our landlord.
But you were breaking your lease by moving out early?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me why you moved out.
I moved out because I would come home various nights from work, and pretty much in the living room, couch, entertainment center, everything was mine, and stuff was getting misused on my entertainment center. My cats were purposely being let outside, and they weren't outside cats. And I was just, you know, I moved all my stuff up to my room pretty much. And a couple days later, I was in Cheyenne, Wyoming, visiting a friend. Cassandra called me and pretty much told me that it was unfair that I moved my stuff upstairs because, you know, all the roommates were using it. And I explained that pretty much, you know, if they can't use it properly, it is my stuff. I should be able to move it up to my room if I'd like to. And pretty much after that, we just weren't getting along, arguing, yelling at each other. And I had previously been in a car accident. I didn't need any extra stress, so I figured it was better for both of us just to end the situation and for me to move out and move on.
Now, Ms. Trestor, it is your claim that the defendant damaged some of your property, and that was on the 9th of November?
Yes.
Well, tell me about it.
Well, actually, to correct her, the reason she moved out is we actually had a physical confrontation a couple days before. She had thrown a bowl at my head, and I slapped her back.
She had thrown a what at your head?
A cat food bowl at my head, and I had slapped her back. I went in later that day and apologized and was like, we'll work these things out. I know you lost your job, you don't have rent. I can cover you for a little bit longer. We just need to work on it. She wasn't paying her bills.
How long hadn't she paid the rent?
It was due on the 1st, so she moved out on the 9th, so it was 9 days late. And the main thing was that our bills she had written checks to bounced, and she was unwilling to take care of them. That was the problem, and she was like, I'm too busy to take care of it, so I was like, well, you need to take care of it or get out. At that point, we were okay. I came home. I felt that her moving her stuff out of the front room was vindictive because she was doing it because she was upset at me, and I told her, if this is the way it's going to continue to be, maybe it'll be better if you get out. I would rather have you out. She said that I was overreacting. We needed to talk about it. So I was like, we'll talk about it when I get home from work the next day. She called me at work from that day, that was on the 7th, and told me that she was moving out. I went home that night to monitor things getting moved around because, of course, things always get taken when people move out. And her mom and her were egging me on to fight, saying that I wasn't tough enough, so I went up into my room and stayed until I had heard that they'd left. When I left, I came downstairs to grab all my stuff because while I was up in my room, I heard her and her mom constantly going, is this Cassie's stuff? If it is, I don't care, break it. It's not mine. I don't care, break it. Hearing things thud, hit the wall, laughing, just very horrible things. So when I came downstairs, the first thing I went to was my clothes because that's most important to most girls. But and I went into there and the bleach was just overwhelming. Like my eyes started burning.
On what floor is the laundry room?
It's on the first level. The 2 bedrooms are upstairs, so I came downstairs and I could smell bleach as soon as I got to the bottom of the stairs and went in there. And lo and behold, all of my clothes have bleach on them. And the bleach bottle was standing up and had the cap on it. So I called the police and made a report, and that's this for you.
What other items do you say that the defendant has of yours?
Clothes, books. She had also borrowed a bunch of things from me because I always was open to letting her borrow whatever she wanted as long as she returned it. And I'd asked for her to give that stuff back before she moved out, and she said that she would and never did. She moved out, and about 2 weeks after she was completely out of the house, I came home, and there were multiple things missing, including almost half of my wardrobe. I had barely anything left, and of course, I live with 2 boys, so they're not borrowing it, and she still had the keys at that time that she was unwilling to give because she stated that she was still on the lease until I got a new person on the lease, and she was entitled to come over.
I'll hear you.
Thank you. Actually, the night we were moving out, about a couple days before, about me throwing a cat bowl.
I don't care about cat bowl. I care about her bleached clothing.
Yeah, the night we were moving out, I had quite a few friends over helping me pack, and my own mother. And my mom had gone in the bathroom saying, you know, is any of this stuff yours, Layla? And I said, the bleach is mine, but there's not enough to even worry about taking. There's probably like an inch left in the bottle, so I wasn't even going to worry about it. And I also, if you would like to look at it, my mom was supposed to be my witness today because in the police report you can see that Cassie actually said my mother bleached her clothes.
I don't care if it was her mother or if it was you or one of the friends that you brought over.
Okay.
Madam, you're responsible.
Okay.
I mean, that's easy. Nobody bleaches their own clothes.
Can I make another point, please?
Just a second. Nobody bleaches their own clothes. And if you just said to me, I was there with my mother, and some other of my friends who came to help me move, it's clear to me that she did not bleach her own clothes. So either you bleached her clothes. I can't imagine your mother being immature enough to bleach her clothes, but maybe one of your friends. Maybe your mother, when she got annoyed and she said, is this bleach yours? And you said, yes, but it's not worth taking because there's only an inch left in it. And she said, fine, and poured it out. Something like that, but you're responsible for her clothes. Next.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Cassandra Trester says ex-roommate Layla Richardson owes for bleaching her clothes. Cassandra also claims that while moving out, Layla stole her belongings.
You have any of her clothing?
No, I don't.
I'm going to say it again. Do you have any of her clothing?
No, I don't, ma'am. And can I just say one more thing about
Sure.
when I was moving out? We were moving out, and I got my stuff in trucks to go to the storage unit to put in there, and it was about 8:30, and we were walking right past that bathroom. I didn't smell any bleach. I am really unaware of what happened, honestly. If you can look at the police report, that would be great.
Why would you think she would bleach her own clothes?
I really don't know, but...
Now, what's the value of the clothing that was bleached and destroyed?
Sorry, I don't have it all added. I have it all added in between.
Okay, let me have it.
Turtleneck, which was $80. Trans 9 pants, $80 as well. Long sleeve blue shirt, just $20. Pair of jeans, $50. Black short sleeve shirt worth $20. Blue Chinese riding shirt, which is $30. A black sweater, which is $30, and pajama bottoms worth $10.
$320. Now, you have no direct proof that she stole anything from your house.
Actually, I do.
I'd like to hear the proof.
Jeremy called me and was like, Layla just came over. Jeremy.
What's your last name?
Skog.
Okay. How do you know these people?
At the time, I was Layla's best friend and also a very good friend of Cassie's.
Okay.
I was there with Layla helping her move her things out. What Cassie said about Layla taking different articles of her clothing, or I'm sorry, different things out of the kitchen and stuff, is this Cassie's, okay, then break it. That is correct. That happened several times throughout the night. I went into the bathroom to go to the bathroom, and I recall there being a strong odor of cat litter, and I actually mentioned something about that. After I left the bathroom, only 2 people went into the bathroom before Cassie found the bleach, which was Layla and her mother. Later that night, after everything had happened, right after the police officer had called me, Layla called me and said, please don't say that my mom and I did it. I swear I had nothing to do with it. Please don't say that my mom and I did it. I told her I'd already talked to the police officer and that I said I wasn't positive that she had done it, but that I had told the police officer that the only 2 people in the bathroom were Layla and her mother. A couple days later, she called me and said, I want you to see how cute I look today. Can I come over? I said, absolutely. She came over and she was wearing the purple floral skirt of Cassie's that she had lost and the gray New York sweater. And
yeah, just a second. Yes?
I'm sorry, I obviously didn't steal any of her clothes.
Well, let's talk about that particular outfit. He's not lying. He's telling me the truth.
Okay. Well,
He's telling me the truth. That's what he saw you wearing.
Okay, well, actually, I don't have a pink floral skirt or anything.
You don't have one that belongs to you.
Correct.
No, I don't wear skirts, ma'am.
Listen to me.
I don't have
Listen to me.
her clothes.
He's not lying to me. How do I know that? I don't share my secrets, but I know that he's not lying to me.
And then I believe almost every day that week, she had come over wearing something that I recognized as Cassie's. The gray New York sweatshirt that she was wearing, or the sweater vest that she was wearing at the time, actually was one of the reasons that these 2 were fighting, was because Cassie, it was her favorite sweater, and she'd asked for it back several times, and Layla refused. Every time we went to Layla's house that she was wearing it, she would take it off before we even went into the house so that Cassie didn't see it. Layla has her lip and her eyebrow pierced. She had Cassie's horseshoe barbell in her lip and a barbell in her eyebrow as well, which belonged to Cassandra as well. I've seen her in the clothes several times.
High marks for having places to put those.
Actually, I don't have that many places. They're extra for my belly button. She used them for her eyebrow ring.
I'll hear your witness. You have a witness?
Yes,
Is that why you
his
brought
name
this
is
person?
Stephen Snow. He was there the same night also.
Okay, Steve, I've already decided that she or her mother bleached the clothes. So I want you to pass over the bleaching. I don't want you to waste your time with nonsense about the bleaching. She or her mother bleached the clothes. What do you know about any other clothes that are in Miss Richardson's possession that don't belong to her? Do you know anything about that?
I do not.
Good, then you may be seated. Miss Richardson.
Yes.
You're going to lie big. You don't lie over $500, which is what the plaintiff is suing for. She's suing for $500 for her clothes. The bleached clothes alone come to $320. I would give her the $500 just because you were nasty. But I found that you do, in fact, have other of her property that you decided for some reason to appropriate for your own use. I would suggest you better grow up. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. That's all. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Stuff was being thrown around, but nothing was broken. I was in the same bathroom, didn't smell any smell.
The judge knew who was telling the truth.
He's only there for 10 minutes. I'm sure he knew a lot.
Maybe she's vindictive. I don't know.
I think the truth came out, and I'm glad that it happened.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Tao versus Perry. Step forward, please.
27-year-old claims adjuster Daisy Tao is suing ex-boyfriend, 33-year-old graphic artist Adam Perry, for an unpaid loan. Adam says the money in question was to pay Daisy's bills.
Ms. Tower, the defendant is a former boyfriend of yours. I gather that you lived together for a brief period of time. You claim 2 loans to the defendant totaling $2,500. Relationship is over. You want your money.
Yes, that's correct, ma'am. I did not live with him, though. That's not correct.
You did not?
No, I never lived with him.
Okay. When, I'll get you in a second. When was the first loan?
On February 9th, 2001.
What was it for?
He's told me that he was behind in rent, car payment, that he didn't have any money, and so I helped him out. I gave him a loan of $1,500 that we agreed upon that he would pay me back when he got his taxes. And in March, he told me that he was still short and behind on his mortgages.
Could you put your hand down?
And so then I had to loan him another $1,000. And so at that point, I was getting a little concerned, and I did tell him that I expected him to pay me back. He agreed to this and said that he would pay me back in the summer, because at the time he was unemployed and trying to go to school.
Where were you living in February of 2001?
I lived at home in Little Canada, Minnesota.
At home with whom?
With my family.
Where were you living in March?
At home.
And where was the defendant living?
He lived in Dayton, Minnesota.
Were you working?
Yes.
Did you ever stay over at his house or apartment?
I would go to see him once in a while, yes.
I'm asking you a question. I expect honest answers. Do you understand? Did you ever stay over at his home?
Yes, I've spent the night at his house, yes.
On an average of how many nights a week?
Maybe once a week, once every 2 weeks.
Now, Mr. Perry, it is agreed that she gave you $2,500.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, you tell me what that money was for.
In January, Your Honor, she wanted to move in together. I had a relative living with me, and she asked if I had my relative move out.
Your Honor, that is not true.
I don't want you to interrupt him.
So my cousin moved out, and she agreed to roughly pay half of the bills, which I have a list of a couple of months, which total a little over $1,100, and she said she would pay half.
That's not true, Your Honor.
Do you want...
I'm sorry, ma'am. I don't mean to be disrespectful.
Then you can't speak when he's speaking. When, according to you, did she move into your home?
In early January.
She moved all of her clothes and belongings and...
She had clothes, belongings, hair dryers, curling irons.
Are you telling me, sir, that she moved all of her personal belongings from her parents' house into your house?
She wasn't living at her parents' house, Your Honor.
Where was she living?
She would stay at some friend's house, and she moved from place to place, and that's why she asked, because she was going to switch her job position and move closer to where I lived so that we could be together.
So she moved in January?
Yes, Your
And
Honor.
she agreed to, according to you, roughly pay half the expenses?
Exactly what my cousin was paying, which was about $500.
Well, now you changed the story.
Mm-hmm.
So which is the story, that she agreed to pay for roughly half the expenses, or that you had a fixed amount of $500?
It was about $500, Your Honor.
No, about $500, sir, isn't an agreement.
No.
So what was it? Well, let's say this. She moved in January.
Yes.
Did she give you a check in January?
No. She did not
No,
give me...
shh, no.
Okay.
She gave you nothing in January.
No.
And then on February 9th, she did give you $1,500.
Yes.
Is that right?
She said...
Just a minute. And that was the beginning of February.
Yes.
So I assume you were going to tell me that at the beginning of February, having lived there for 1 month and having had an agreement with you that she would pay you roughly $500 a month, she decided to pay you for January.
Yes, Your Honor.
And February.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then prepay March.
Yes, Your Honor.
So that's $1,500.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then in March, right now she's already paid in March, for March. But in March, she gives you another $1,000.
Yes.
And that is, I assume you're going to testify that she said to you, well, I've already paid for March, but I like to pay my bills in advance, so I'm going to pay you for April and May.
Yes, she gave me money.
Yes, that's what you're telling me.
Yes,
That's
Your
what she
Honor.
did. Is that right?
Yes.
Bull. That's not the way it works, sir. If somebody agrees to move in with you as a roommate, and let's say she fell behind in January, so she maybe would have given you January, if I believed your story, January and February. So she would have given you $1,000 to cover January and February.
Yes, Your Honor.
And then when March came, she would have paid you $500 for March, so she would have given you a total of $1,500 for January, February, and March. Yes. And what you're telling me is, no, that's not what she did. She paid you 3 months at one time, a little in advance, and then she paid you for 2 months after that. I don't believe you, sir.
She wanted me to keep ahead, Your Honor.
I don't believe you, sir. I believe that you fell behind in your bills. Now, you didn't tell me about that. Did you fall behind in your bills?
Yes, I did.
Okay. So you needed money.
Yes.
Is that right? Did you say anything to her about giving her back any money when you got your tax returns in April?
I did not, Your Honor.
Mm-hmm.
She was there at least 4 days a week, Your Honor.
I was
Oh,
not.
shh, just a minute. Mr. Perry, when somebody lives with you full-time,
Yes.
they are not there 4 days a week.
No, she was not living with me full-time.
Give her back her money, Mr. Perry. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Now, this is case number 437 on the calendar in the matter of Yukevich versus Seiss. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Ms. Yukevich, you were a waitress in a restaurant.
Correct.
The defendant was there with a group of family members, a large group of family members.
Correct.
And it is your claim that while there, she assaulted you.
Yes.
And you want to be compensated not only for the assault, but for your lost wages and your pain and suffering.
Yes.
The defendant says she never hit you. Were you the person who was serving the defendant's group?
No.
Tell me what happened.
Well, that party had been sitting there for a while, and they were drinking a lot. And I was in the section next to this large party, and I had a couple of tables there. And throughout the night, they were having problems, my tables with the large party, because the large party was kind of getting out of control, standing up, backing into my tables. And I believe that woman right over there was smoking in the non-smoking section, and a table had asked me, you know, to tell the woman to stop because it was bothering them, and they were in the non-smoking
She was
section.
just standing in the...
Just standing in the non-smoking, smoking. So I walked up to her and I proceeded to tell her, ma'am, you can't smoke here, this is non-smoking. She then proceeded to get very defensive with me. And
What did she say?
She said, we're leaving. You can't tell me when to leave and what to do. I can stay here as long as I want and do whatever I want. And I said, you can, ma'am, but you can't smoke here. And she proceeded to say the same thing, call me some names like, you white gringa, weta. And I said, you know what, if you want to be a grumpy old woman, be a grumpy old woman, but do it somewhere else. And I walked away because I knew the situation was going to get out of control. So I went to go tell my manager what had happened. And as I was walking around, she came running up to me, excuse me, you white bitch, you white bitch. That's her, grabbed me, slammed me up against the wall like this, started punching me, kicking me, scratching at my face or something, and slamming me up against the wall. And I'm freaked out because I've never seen this woman before in my life. Luckily, then one of my coworkers jumped in between, and she's reaching around him, you know, punching like this, kicking, and that's when I looked down the way at my section, and there was a full-out brawl. That large party of hers, they had tables thrown over, broken bottles. One of my customers was on the ground, and they were kicking him. He was bloody from head to toe. At that point, I don't know where she went, but I ended up just running because I didn't know what to do. It was like a flight, something. I took off to run outside because I was like, I'm getting the hell out of this situation. Excuse me, I'm sorry.
What kind of injuries did you sustain?
I have some pictures here.
I'd like to see
And
them.
I have a medical bill. They're not very good pictures. She did throw me up against the wall, so like a lot of it was to the back of my head. This is the medical bill here. The restaurant did pay for the medical bill, but that's just the On there, you can see some of the scratches on my face.
Were you taken to the emergency room then?
The EMS checked me out, and then they told me to go to the hospital afterwards. So I went, right after I got off work, I went to the emergency room.
Did you miss any work?
Yes, I did. I have this that shows what I missed several days. I also have a police report and an incident report from my managers. This is police report, and this is incident report from the managers. There's also a statement from Margaret on that day in there, too, that it was an incident report, I guess. I did highlight a statement.
Okay, Ms. Saez, now I'm ready to hear from you. You were having dinner with your family. Go ahead.
Yes, but I believe we were there a different day because what she's saying is not at all the incident I was involved in. We were a party of 23, 5 generations. The incident, the way it started was I was walking Grandma out. She was walking out ahead of me. My witness was walking out ahead of me. And I sent Grandma off with someone else because I saw that they were having words with each other. The part where I walked in is where Hazel says, I didn't know we had a time limit, is what she told her at that time.
Who's Hazel?
This is my witness. Hazel's my niece.
I didn't know we had a time limit.
Right. So anyway, if you want, Hazel can tell you how the incident started with her, and she can tell you what went on.
So that's what you heard. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, what I heard them say, she says, you Mexicans never know when to leave.
I work in a Mexican restaurant.
Just a second. So that's, okay, just a second. So that's what you say you heard her say to your niece?
Yes. You Mexicans never know when to leave. Hazel says, I didn't know we had a time limit. And she says, yes, that's why nobody wants you people around, she told her. And then she proceeded to light a cigarette because she had been on her way out. And she tells her, you can't smoke here. It's a non-smoking area. And then she says, and besides, you're just jealous of my white skin and my blonde hair. Then turned around and walked out.
Go ahead.
So, you know, like, blood started boiling, but my daughter grabbed me at this time because there were some friends, other friends of ours there that we hadn't seen in a while. So then afterwards I went looking for her. I felt she was being very rude. I approached her. I was on my way to approach her to discuss the situation. I put my finger up at her to, you know, to make the point. The 2 bus boys jumped me at that time, grabbed me, and I do have some injuries and some, I'm disabled. I am on disability. I have metal fusions on my neck, arthritis spondylosis.
You never brought this up.
I've since then been, I've had 6 surgeries and been diagnosed with fibromyalgia and all this stuff. Anyway, so I can't move. I can't do that kind of stuff. I approached her. The bus boys jumped me before I even said a word. And they started, and they pulled my arms back, which causes a great deal of pain for me. So I started yelling and screaming, let me go, let me go. So my son saw this, and he came over. He says, I'll take her out. Don't worry about her. So he got me by the arm, and we went out.
How do you think she got the scratches on her face, Miss Saez?
I have no idea. As a matter of fact, if you don't mind, I'd like to see the pictures because APD and the fire department were there. They checked her. And, you know, according to the police report, it says that they just let her go. It says battery, but they didn't arrest me. Had they found any marks on her or anything, and it's an assault, they would have arrested me.
They said they couldn't arrest her, that I would have to press charges. They didn't even arrest the people that assaulted my customer, and he was bleeding from head to toe.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Waitress Michelle Yukevich says she was assaulted on the job by customer Margaret Seiss. Margaret says Michelle insulted her with a racial slur.
So my question to you is, why didn't you press charges on her? Is there any reason?
Oh, I had to, it took me 45 days to get the police report, like seriously. And then I was waiting to go down and press charges. I know it's been a little while, but I mean, it's been in the back of my head.
It's not going to happen. Okay.
Had I hit her?
Ms. Saez, I believe you made contact with the plaintiff. Let me tell you that.
No, I didn't.
Let me tell you why I believe you made contact with all of your disabilities. Because when someone is assaulted, they want the person responsible to compensate them or be punished. If she were assaulted by somebody else, you wouldn't be here. She said that you assaulted her. According to your own statement, you were hot, you got furious, according to you, when you heard her make comments to your niece, and you were hot then. Then you went back to find her. And you didn't go back to find her just to have a discussion, because by that time, things were starting to get rowdy between the tables on your side and the tables on the other side, because this looks to me as if it turned into a free-for-all. So you had not only the opportunity, but you had the mental capacity at that moment to strike out at her.
Your Honor, I wear these rings all the time, plus other ones. I just toned it down a little bit. These would have left some big bruises had I punched her.
Look at
the way the tables are set in the restaurant, there is no way that you can get her against the wall. And on her police report, she says on here that I was smoking and that I was seated in a non-smoking area, which I wasn't.
Police got confused, but the whole story, the story that I get in the complaint...
No, but she says that she came back.
Listen
and
to me,
she
the
didn't
stories
talk
that
to me.
the
She
stories
talked
that,
to her.
The stories that you both told today are totally consistent. Now, the police, in the course of taking down a report, may not get everything right, but the stories that you both told me today were consistent with regard to what happened with your niece, that she told her not to smoke, whatever words were exchanged. And I'm not sure that I'm getting the whole story about the words that were exchanged, because it seemed to me absolutely ludicrous for the plaintiff.
What she said is an absolute lie, Your Honor. All I have to back me up is the truth. Yeah. And when he swore me in, I swore to do that. I would never was the word gringa used, anything like that. Nothing like that was ever said. I don't know where she got this from.
Just a minute. But according to you, the word was said.
Oh, it was.
Just a minute. According to you, the word bitch was said by your niece.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. I'm telling you the truth.
Yeah, I believe that. What I'm telling you, Ms. Saez, is that what the police took down quickly in their notes did not reflect what happened on that day, which was basically she told her not to smoke. They get into some words. You're overhearing words that they're getting into, and you decided to have a confrontation with her, which you did. You not only decided to have a confrontation with her at that moment that you heard it, but you got rid of your mother or your aunt or whoever else it was, and you went back to find her. Again, you went back to confront her. Because according to you, Ms. Saez, you were boiling at what you heard her say. And then you went to find her. That's what you said. You said, I went to find her.
Because she was making such horrible racist remarks, and unless someone is there to receive those names, if you're not there at the other end, will never know how you feel. You feel humiliated, degraded. She made me feel like an alien.
Oh,
and I don't mean like an alien from across the border. I'm talking about from Mars or something. Never did that.
You are a grown-up, madam. Grown-ups know that words...
I understand that.
Words are different from acting physically.
When someone is being a racist,
yes,
it is going to cause problems. No one likes to be labeled with names.
So what kind of problems is it going to cause? What kind of... Hey, Ms. Saez, you see what you're doing?
Exactly. This is what she was doing.
No.
This is what you're doing. And this is why I got angry. And unless you're on that receiving end...
You got angry and you hit her. It's going to cost you $2,500.
Receive that.
Period. End of discussion. Sticks and stones break my bones. Names will never hurt me. You report it to the manager. You never go back to the restaurant, but you don't go over there and assault her. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,500. That's all.
Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
None of that ever happened. Absolutely none of it happened.
Margaret, proved my case just by her actions.
Knock the out of the person, if you can.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Dagrapont versus Sierra. Step forward, please.
67-year-old Paul Dagrapont is suing 28-year-old car salesperson Vanessa Sierra for the cost of a new puppy. Paul says when his granddaughter's Maltese was in Vanessa's care, the dog ran away and was hit by a car.
Your granddaughter, I assume this is your granddaughter, had a little Maltese dog, and she wanted to breed and have a litter of puppies from her dog. You got the defendant's name. The defendant had a male Maltese. You brought your granddaughter's dog to the defendant's home for the purposes of having this liaison.
Correct.
And left her there,
Yes.
which was standard procedure, I assume. Is that right?
I've never bred a dog before, so I don't know what standard procedure is.
I haven't either.
Well, hopefully the dogs know better than you do what's going on. In any event, having done that sort of thing a couple of times myself, that's what usually happens. You bring the dog and they try to get acquainted so that there is a little, for want of a better, there's a little foreplay. You know, they sort of get to know each other and like each other and stuff. But while the dog was in your care, the dog ran away. You want to be compensated for the dog because you believe it was the defendant's responsibility. Why do you think this was not your responsibility?
It's not that it's not my responsibility. I'm really sorry for what happened.
Of course you are.
It was just a strange situation. No agreement was ever, like, handwritten agreement was ever made. I mean, if I was a mean person or a bad person, I could have just simply denied having the dog. There was no proof or evidence that the dog was ever at my house.
I don't understand that. If you were a bad or a mean person. He brought the dog to your house. Your agreement was that you were going to be paid for the breeding?
Correct.
Okay. How much were you supposed to be paid?
We never agreed upon a price.
We're going to discuss the fee later. Is that all correct, Mr. Davenport?
Yes.
So I still don't understand why you don't think you're responsible. The dogs were playing in the backyard and his dog got away.
Right. The dog was brought to me on the day before New Year's Eve. I called him that evening to let him know that the dogs hadn't, as you called it, gotten acquainted or had their liaison, so to speak. They weren't actually getting along. My dog was chasing his dog around the house, and she didn't seem at all interested. He told me to go ahead and keep the dog overnight, which I did. I did inform him that I do work. I work the next day 9 to 9, and I would not be home. He asked me if anybody would be home. I told him my brothers and my father would.
Okay. So he did ask who would be around.
My brother put both dogs in the yard, and I do have pictures of my dog and the yard, which is completely enclosed. My brother went back to check on the dogs. He let them do their business because he didn't, this is very important, he didn't give me a leash. When he dropped off the dog, he didn't even come in the house. He just handed me the dog. I couldn't put the dog in the front yard to, you know, spent the entire New Year's Eve.
Did you find out how the dog got away?
No, that's the thing. I have pictures. My dog was still in the yard. My dog didn't get out. We don't know how the dog got out.
Maybe somebody stole her. Yeah. Somehow the dog got away.
Right. And I'm not disputing that fact.
So you have to pay for the dog.
Well, I mean, the dog should have been picked up earlier in the day. I wasn't home. I mean, I'm really sorry for what happened, and then...
Miss Sierra, the dog was entrusted to your care in a business relationship. You were going to be paid for the purposes of breeding the dog. If the dog was left in your care, was not returned, you have to pay for the dog. Simple. Did you replace the puppy for your granddaughter?
Yes, we did.
You did. And do you have the bill for the replacement puppy?
We have pictures of the puppy. This is the new puppy, and these are the pictures of the old ones.
Oh, this time you got her a little Yorkie. How's the new puppy?
Playful.
Looks adorable. Step up near your granddaddy. A girl or a boy?
A girl.
What did you name her?
Minnie.
How old is she now?
I think 10 or 11 weeks.
You taking good care of her?
Yeah.
Good. How much did you pay for Minnie?
$700.
You have the bill?
I don't have the bill on the new dog. I have a canceled check on the old one, and this is the posters that we put up looking for when Rice was missing. And we have bills from the veterinarian that they require baby shots, so to speak.
Okay, let me see the bill for the Maltese, please, and the vet shots.
We put 150 of these posters out in the neighborhood looking for her. When we finally found her, you know, she was dead.
She had been hit by a car?
By a car.
I assume that somehow she got out because if somebody had stolen her.
I don't, like I said, I have pictures of the yard completely enclosed.
Well, maybe your brother accidentally opened up the front door. I don't know. Dorothy, the cost of the dog was $625, and all the vet bills with the cost of the dog come to $1,011. Judgment for the plaintiff. I'm glad you got a new puppy.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Yeah, this is case number 511 on the calendar in the matter of Thomas versus Kelly. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Ms. Thomas, your lawsuit contains two parts. First, the defendant, who was your ex-boyfriend, you claim assaulted you in July of last year. Is that right?
That's correct.
And you want several $1,000s as a result of that assault. Then you claim that a month later you let him borrow your car and he totaled it and it's impounded or something, and you can't get a driver's license until you pay the impound fees and towing fees. So you want him to take care of those fees as a result of totaling your car.
That's correct.
So let's deal with the assault first.
Okay.
Were you living together at the time of this assault?
We were.
And how long had you been living together?
About 1.5 to 2 years.
And tell me your version of the events surrounding the assault.
Well, we moved out here. We got here in April from Delaware, and we hadn't been getting along like you should be getting along in a relationship. So things were difficult. And on July 21st, we had a really big argument. There was a party happening that weekend, and we were all going to go. And I stood in the doorway as he was trying to leave. And
you were arguing at the time?
Yeah, we were arguing.
Verbally?
Verbally arguing, yelling, slamming doors. I slammed a door.
So he said, I want out of here, and started to leave?
No, he didn't start to leave. We were downstairs, and we were talking about it, because at first...
Okay, but you said you stood in the doorway, so he wanted to leave.
At that time, and I didn't let him leave by standing in the doorway.
Why were you preventing him from leaving if things were getting too hot?
Because I didn't want to be fighting with him, and I wanted to talk about why we were fighting. It was all little things. I don't even know why we were fighting at the time.
All right, so you're blocking the door.
Right.
And what happened?
He picked me up and threw me, and then he kicked and punched me.
That's a lie, Your Honor.
Just a second. He picked you up and threw you where?
Well, I was standing in the doorway. He was standing in front of me to leave. So he picked me up and threw me behind where there was a roll of carpet laying because the basement was being remodeled.
Okay.
And I landed on my would have been right side from standing here to being behind to laying on this side.
Okay, so you landed on your right side.
Right. And so I had bruises here and here on my thigh.
Yes.
He kicked and punched me about 3 times per
Where did he
limb.
punch you?
In my, what's this, my forearm?
The same place that you fell?
Right. I was on the floor, and he came, and he kicked, and he punched me.
Did you seek medical treatment?
Yes, I did.
I'd like to see the report.
This is a letter from my psychologist.
I'm not interested in the letter from your psychologist. If you sought medical treatment as a result of your injuries, you have a report from either an emergency room or
I didn't
from a doctor.
go to the emergency room. I called 911.
Do you have a police report?
They did not give me a police report. And this is what I have that I called 911. I didn't tell 911 that he kicked and punched me at the time.
Of course you didn't.
Because he
Because he didn't.
He was on probation
because
from
he
Delaware.
didn't.
And I have a picture of my leg that is bruised from him kicking and punching me that he didn't do. I also have a protection order that I filed as a result of
Miss
this.
Thomas, I want to ask you a question, madam. He's trying to get out of a situation. I see a mark on your leg.
That's a bruise from a kick.
Maybe. He said you tripped over carpet, but there's no question that he was trying to get out of that situation. Let's go further for a second, Miss Thomas. After this alleged brutality, you continued to live together.
If I can explain.
Just answer my question.
Yes, we continued to
live together. On what date did you lend him your car?
I lent him my car September 15th.
Okay, so you lived together for at least 2 months after this incident occurred.
I didn't want anything to do with him, and he begged. He said we could go to therapy together and get help for this problem that he had, and that we could work it out because he wanted to spend eternity with me.
Okay, Ms. Thomas,
and so,
listen to me. You claim that he assaulted you, brutalized you. You did not report the fact that he brutalized you to the police.
No, because he was on probation. I didn't want him to get in trouble. I just wanted him out of my life. In fact, the day after
all he was trying to do was leave the house.
I packed all of his things for him, even.
Just a second. He wanted to leave. You were arguing. He wanted to leave. By the way, did you go to that party that weekend?
Me? No, he did. And when he got back, all of his clothes were packed and tarped on the porch so he could get out of my life.
All right, so that was the 3rd week in July.
July 22nd, when he came home.
Okay, so all of his stuff was packed?
Yes.
Did you leave?
No, ma'am, I did not leave.
All right. Now, you want to tell me your version of the events of the 21st of July?
It started off in the morning. I knew that there was a party, and Janine and I had been getting along like sort of like an ocean, up and down. And the morning was pretty nice, and I asked her if she wanted to go to this party with me. And then I don't know what happened throughout the day. We got to arguing. The arguing just got worse and worse and worse. It just got to the point where I didn't want to be there anymore. You know, the situation wasn't what it should have been. And I said, you know what? It's time for me to leave. I need to go. She stood in the doorway, wouldn't allow me
What did she
to
say
leave.
when she stood in the doorway?
She's like, no, you're going to stay here and we're going to talk about this. We're going to make something right. And we'd been arguing for at least an hour. And it didn't seem to me like that we were getting anywhere. We were just butting heads. So I walked toward her, and she had her hands on the door frame, and I sort of pushed through her. There was a roll of carpeting because the basement was being remodeled, and it stuck about this far out into the doorway. And when I pushed through the doorway, Miss Thomas started to fall back.
When you pushed through the doorway, and you pushed her,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
had to have pushed her,
Yes, ma'am.
even according to you. You didn't push the doorway. She was standing in front of the door, so you pushed her, and she tripped over the carpet?
She tripped over the carpet, yes. As she tripped over the carpet, she grabbed my shoulders and pulled me on top of her.
Okay, and what did you do next?
I struggled to get up, ma'am. And then when Lorraine's boyfriend, Dennis, came to the top of the stairs, he screamed down the stairs, "You two better quit." Janine let go of me, and I was able to leave the basement.
And you left?
And I left.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Janine Thomas says, during an argument, ex-boyfriend Arthur Kelly kicked and punched her. Arthur says Janine wouldn't let him leave their home, so he pushed her out of the way.
Oh, you packed his stuff, put it under a tarp, July 22nd, but he did not leave.
No, he wanted to work it out.
So he stayed at least until September 15th?
Actually, it was about August 1st. I picked him up from a ferry after I got off work. And I was feeling really low because we only get about 5 days of summer in Seattle. And it was a real sunny day, and I wanted to wear a nice spring outfit to work. And I put it on, and when I put it on, I had my bruises hanging out of my clothes. And to go to work like that, somebody would have been like, "What happened to you?" And I didn't want to have to explain to people at work my problems at home. So I had to change clothes. So that was on my mind all day. And when I picked him up from the ferry, he asked me what was wrong, and I said, "You really don't want to know what's wrong because you think I'm full of negativity." And he's like, he pulled it out of me. I said, "Art," I said, "these bruises are on my body still from when you kicked and punched me. And I couldn't wear certain clothes today because of these bruises. I'd have to explain them." And he said, "I'm finished with you. I'm moving out. I'm done. I've had it with this ridiculousness." And so that's when he moved out, 2 weeks after the assault.
So how did he get possession of your truck?
Because he was in the Air National Guard, and he gave me the, let's try to be friends. We didn't work out as boyfriend and girlfriend. I was in therapy, and he also was going to be in anger management therapy from his probation in Delaware. So let's be friends and try to get over this. So I agreed, and we tried to be friends. He would come over to the house, and then he had guard duty on the 15th and 16th of September, and he had no vehicle to get there. And I'm a nice person, and he asked me if he could borrow my car. And I said yes. I said, "But if anything happens to my car, I'm working 2 jobs to get caught up from our move. You have to fix it if anything happens." And he said, "Okay."
Okay, so what happened to the car, Mr. Kelly?
I stayed the night at the house that night and got up in the morning. Went to the gas station and filled the gas tank with fuel, and I proceeded to head toward work. And I was going down a hill and noticed a red light, and the last thing I remember was hitting the brake, and then I woke up in the guardrail.
What time was this in the morning?
This was 6:15 a.m.
So what did you do with the car?
A tow truck came, and the tow truck towed it off to a storage yard.
So what is your out-of-pocket expense?
Well, they're billing me right now, the last bill from November with the 12% interest was $1,647.34.
Why didn't you take care of the car right away, Mr. Kelly?
Why didn't I take care of the car, ma'am?
That was my question, Mr. Kelly.
Yeah,
You were
yes, ma'am.
driving the car.
I understand that. Well, the car almost killed me. I didn't feel that it was, my
How
responsibility.
do I know that?
Well, I have a report from the hospital at the Army Medical Center, and it states that asphyxiation was the cause of
Let me see.
this, and...
How much did you pay for this car, Miss Thomas?
$500. When I told him, I said, after he totaled it, I picked him up. I told him he was glad he was okay. And I said, "But the only thing I ask of you is that you replace it with a comparable car. I don't care what kind of car it is, as long as it's run and it's registered."
Nah, sir. Let me tell you what happened. You reported to the doctor, patient, that's you, having just filled up the gas tank, known exhaust leak into car. Does that mean that you knew that there was an exhaust leak?
Yes, ma'am, I knew that.
Oh, so if you knew that you were taking a car that had an exhaust leak, who do you expect to be responsible for that?
I didn't know that it was going to knock me out.
How do I know that? How does she know that?
I drove it for
Just a
2
second. How
months.
does she know that? Mr. Kelly,
Yes, ma'am.
you told the doctor that you know that this car that you just filled up with gas has an exhaust leak, and you smelled a strong odor of gasoline.
Yes, ma'am.
So you took the car as you knew it to exist. It existed as far as you were concerned, and it had an exhaust leak. And if it almost killed you, so you die, you die. You didn't die. You just damaged her car, and you have to pay for it. It's not as if she kept something a secret.
He helped me buy the car.
I don't care whether he helped you buy it or not,
suggest
Miss Thomas.
she shouldn't buy the car.
She shouldn't have bought it,
Yeah.
and you shouldn't have borrowed it. But if you borrowed it and you wrecked it, you got to pay for it. Another thing, Mr. Kelly, what kind of anger management classes were you going to as a result of probation that you were on previously?
I went to a 10-week session with a counselor on Vashon Island.
And that was the result of a prior incident? In
Yes,
what
ma'am.
state?
In Delaware.
And who was involved in that incident?
That would have been a boss that I worked for. Her and her husband were in the midst of a divorce.
That was a boss. It was not the plaintiff.
No, it was not the plaintiff.
And what were you charged with there, sir?
I was charged with disorderly conduct.
You pled guilty to disorderly conduct.
Yes, ma'am.
You weren't charged with
Okay.
disorderly conduct. Mr. Kelly, I'm 10 steps ahead of you, sir. You pled guilty to disorderly conduct. You were charged with...
I was charged with nothing. I had probation.
No. Mr. Kelly, you're not a dumb man,
Oh,
are you?
my charges, okay. Initially, it was possession of paraphernalia and disorderly conduct, ma'am.
No assault?
No assault.
What kind of paraphernalia, sir?
A pipe that I'd used for tobacco that
Pipe
was
that you
given
used
to
for
me.
tobacco.
That was given to me by the woman that...
I don't care, sir. And I don't believe that you were charged with a discon. I believe that you probably pled guilty to a disorderly conduct, but I don't believe that was the charge, Mr. Kelly. You want to think about it again, sir? What were you charged with regard to this boss?
I don't understand your question, ma'am.
The question was, what were you charged with?
My charges, ma'am, were disorderly conduct and possession of paraphernalia.
Tell me about the incident, Mr. Kelly.
The incident was the police had been at the frame shop where I worked, and the bosses were having this not-so-nice divorce. One boss, she was in the frame shop the day I was working, and the police had already been there, and they explained to her not to take anything that wasn't solely hers. And she was taking stuff, and I explained to her that she shouldn't be doing this.
Right.
And we had an argument.
And you had an argument, just a verbal argument.
A verbal argument.
You had a verbal argument, and as a result of that verbal argument, you had to go to anger management classes.
Yes, ma'am.
I better stay out of Delaware. All right, Mr. Kelly, I'm not holding you responsible for this incident that occurred on the 21st of July for several reasons. First of all, I do believe that you were trying to extricate yourself from a potentially volatile argument. The fact that Ms. Thomas exercised poor judgment in keeping you hostage there, which is exactly what she did. She prevented you from leaving, and if she got pushed aside and fell over carpet, that's what happened. I'm not convinced that you actually bludgeoned her with your fists, because I'm looking at one photograph that she gave me, and there is a bruise on her upper thigh, which is also consistent with falling over something, which you both agree she did. In any event, subsequent to that, you still maintained a relationship. So, but for the fact of this automobile that you totaled, she would not be here today. But I am addressing the accident that you had, that you are totally responsible for. You took the vehicle, fully understanding that it may have a malfunctioning condition that was dangerous. According to you, it did. I don't know if that was the cause of the accident. At least that's what you reported to the medical people when you were brought into the hospital. You chose to exercise control over the vehicle under those circumstances, and you should have taken care of the car. You didn't. It's going to cost you $2,147, which is the cost of the towing plus interest, as well as the cost of the car. Judgment for the plaintiff in that amount. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He picked me up, threw me behind,
and then had to walk to me to do what he did.
Never before has a car rendered me unconscious.
I was asking her, do I tell him what he did? Because he's on probation. What do I do? You're his friend. What do I do?
She's just aggravated my life.
If somebody ever hits me again, oh yeah, 911 will know about it.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of St. Aubin versus Williams. Step forward, please.
49-year-old administrative assistant Donna St. Aubin is suing 27-year-old billing clerk Artia Williams. Donna says Artia's 9-year-old son punched her granddaughter in the mouth, knocking a tooth loose.
Miss St. Aubin, this is your granddaughter.
Yes, ma'am.
Your name is Ariel? Step up here, Ariel. And Miss Williams, this is your son.
Yes, ma'am.
Your name is?
Shantae.
Shantae, you step up here with your mom. All right. Ariel, you and Shantae were at daycare together. Is that right? And you were sort of messing around with each other.
Yes, ma'am.
How were you messing around with each other?
We were throwing erasers.
At each other?
Mm-hmm.
And based upon what I read here, one of the workers came over and told you to stop. And then you threw one last eraser at Ashante?
Yes, ma'am.
After the worker had told you to stop.
Yes, ma'am.
And when you threw that last eraser at him, it hit him where?
On the head.
And then he came over to you and he...
Hit her.
You hit her. Where did you hit her?
In her mouth.
And as a result of that, a baby tooth became loose, and you are suing Miss Williams because of her son hitting your granddaughter for $4,500.
Oh, it started with both the daycare and the mother.
Well, you're not going to get a penny from Miss Williams. This is going to be a very fast case. Okay. Your granddaughter hit him in the head with an eraser after she was told to stop. So she assaulted him with an eraser. And he retaliated by hitting her in the mouth. Why is that a lawsuit? Because she got hurt and he didn't?
No.
Well, why?
Because the daycare worker told me that he started it, and then she threw it back, and then he come back. When she threw it back, he come back with the fist.
No. Your granddaughter just told me that they were messing around with each other, throwing erasers. The daycare worker told him to stop. He stopped. She didn't.
Right.
She hit him in the head. He hit her in the mouth. Case is over. Your case is dismissed. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Down to case number 514 on the calendar in the matter of Savino versus Hoover. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat, please.
Miss Savino, you've known this young lady since she was a little girl.
Yes, ma'am.
According to your complaint, there came a time when you received a telephone call from her from jail.
Correct.
What did she tell you?
She said that her mother had her arrested, and that she spent the night in jail, and asked if somebody could come get her.
Asked if you could come and get her. And what did you do?
Okay, one of the boys that was living in my house at the time had said that he would go to Islip to get her, and he went and picked her up and brought her back to my house.
And I understand you have a child.
Yes.
How old is your child?
18 months.
How old are you?
19.
How old were you at the time you were in jail?
18.
What were you doing in jail?
Me and my mother got into a fight, and she had me arrested.
For what?
I threw a toy, and it hit her.
Where was your son when you were in jail?
At my mother's.
I understand that at some point the child also came to live with you.
Yes.
When was that?
That day we went and picked him up.
Okay. Your lawsuit is for room and board.
Correct.
That the defendant, you claim, owes you for the time she lived in your home.
Correct.
The defendant and her parents are counterclaiming for cleaning chores that she did in your house, working in your store, and for the return of 2 checks that her parents sent for her support. So that's what the case is about. Did you have a discussion with Amy when she came to your house about living there?
Yes, I did, Your Honor.
Tell me about the conversation, please.
Well, when she was brought back to my house, when she walked in, she was hysterical crying, and she asked me if her and Nico could stay with me.
If she and?
Nico, her son.
Nico.
She had been with me like 3 months prior for like a month.
Why?
She had moved out of her parents' house because of complications with her sister. And
how did you know her, by the way? You've noticed that she was a little
She lived
girl.
down the road from me. My daughter and her have been best friends for like 14 years. And her mother is my godmother.
So she had lived with you a few months
Okay,
before.
so she went to live with the baby's other grandmother. And she had put her in a basement room with no windows, and she didn't want to stay there until she asked if she can come stay with me.
This was before?
This was 3 months prior. So I let her come stay with me, and then during that interim, they were there for a month. You know, I was talking to Mary Ann and got her and her parents back together, and she moved back home with her parents. So then when this incident happened, I had told Amy, I really don't have room for you, and I can't afford it. So she had said she would do anything. You know, I will do anything if you let me stay there. I'll clean your house every day, I'll cook, I'll do laundry. And I never made her do that. So I took them in, and then we went and we picked up her stuff and the child, brought it back. I had split up, my daughter had the whole half of the house was a basement room with an outside entrance. And my daughter's one side of it was equal to the other side, and I put a crib in there, and she had dressers. The only thing I didn't buy her was a bed.
What did you actually go out and purchase?
I had gone out and I bought the baby walking shoes. I bought him clothes. He had a one-year birthday party, and since none of her family was involved except for the baby's other grandparents, I laid out $300 to have his birthday party. I took him to the doctor 3 times, and I paid for one of his co-payments on his insurance. I just bought him a lot of things.
So far, you haven't told me about an arrangement you had with the defendant about room and board.
Right. We had discussed how much I was going to charge her. And I told her $150 for room and board, I would think would be fair.
$150 a what?
A week.
Okay. Was she working at the time?
No. I had taken her 3 times to the Department of Social Services to apply for social services.
So you didn't expect any money from her, but you expected that if she was approved for public assistance, then you would be getting the money from public assistance.
No, she had said to me if she didn't get public assistance, she was going to get a job, and she was going to pay me back all the money she owed me for living there. Or if she won the support case from her parents, because she had a support case pending against her parents. I took her to 3 times to a support hearing that her parents were supposed to be financially responsible for until she was 21. So they granted her a temporary order of support from the parents.
And it was the temporary order of support checks that she turned over to you?
Right, Your Honor. It was 3
And
checks.
how much was that?
There was 3 checks of $75 apiece. I have receipts for them. She had signed the back and turned them over to me.
Now, how long did she stay with you?
She stayed with me for 4 months, from July 1st to October 28th.
And what happened on October 28th?
Well, normally when we went out to dinner, we would take Amy and the baby with us. You know, we went to like the buffets and stuff. But that day, Amy and the baby weren't home. So my family and I, we went out to the buffet, and we were gone about an hour and a half. When we got back, I had walked in the house, and I had asked, you know, where's Nico's high chair? His high chair and his playpen, and we're all gone. I ran downstairs, and everything was gone.
Had you had an argument with her?
No.
Why did you leave?
Because my son's grandmother told me that she had a conversation with Marge, and Kurt, her husband, said that if I want to move out, he's not going to give me any of my stuff.
Where did you go when you moved out of the house?
To my mother's.
Okay. Now, I want you to tell me about your counterclaim.
Well, I cleaned her house. I didn't expect any money at all, because I figured I was living there. I'd clean her house, I'd go to work with her to her shop, and I'd help her out, and I wouldn't have to pay her. Then when I went to go get child support for my mother, she said, well, you're probably going to get a lot of money, so just give Kurt like $1,000 and he'll be happy because he's been bitching or whatever. So I said, okay, because I didn't know what else to say because I didn't know where else to go.
So?
So I said, all right.
So? I don't know what your counterclaim is for.
The counterclaim.
I'm talking to your daughter.
Sorry.
For cleaning her house.
Get out of here.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Marge Savino says former family friend Amy Hooper owes for 18 months' worth of room and board. Amy and her parents are countersuing, claiming Marge owes for house cleaning services.
Okay. Your mother threw you out. You assaulted your mother. She picked you up from jail. She took you into her house. She treated you like a family member. I assume she treated you like a family member. Is that right?
Yes.
Wasn't the first time you were there. You weren't working, right?
I was going to work with her, helping her out at the shop.
Other than that, you weren't working?
No, I couldn't get anywhere.
It's not her fault. So, did you go out for dinner with her and her family?
Every once in a while.
Did you eat at her house?
Yes.
Did you use the telephone occasionally?
No, well, every once in a while.
Every once in a while. Did you use light?
Yes.
Did you use heat?
Well, I shared a room with her daughter.
I don't care whether you shared a room with her daughter or not. You used light, you used heat. Your baby was there. There were 2 of you. Right? You cleaned up in the house?
Yes.
So what? So, forget about cleaning. And in the 4 months that you were there, the only money that you turned over to her was $225.
No. My son's grandmother gave her $80. I gave her $85 when I moved in for my son's birthday party. That was all the money that I had.
Well, she spent more than that, right?
I guess so.
Well, you know that she spent more than that. How many people did you have at the birthday party?
I don't remember.
More than 10?
Probably.
All right. And she said that she drove you to the doctor when you had to go?
Mm-hmm.
Did you pay her for gas?
No.
She said she paid for the copay on the medical at least once?
His grandmother paid her back.
Well, I don't know whether she did or not, but she says she paid for the copay. You didn't pay, did you?
I have a letter here from his grandmother stating what
I don't read letters.
Okay.
I don't read letters. I see witnesses. So in the 4 months that you were there, I have maybe you gave her $300
Mm-hmm.
for 4 months.
Yes.
So what are you complaining about? Nothing. Now, let's find out what you're complaining about. Yeah, you. You want your $225 back.
No, I wanted the money to go to Amy. If Marge was suing for whatever, the $2,400, we were told by 3 separate individuals that Amy was emancipated. Therefore, I don't know why we were even named in the lawsuit.
Oh, so that you don't want anything back from her.
What we wanted was our day's pay that we're losing for this frivolous lawsuit. We think it's frivolous.
Not necessarily.
Your Honor.
The judge may have told you that Amy was emancipated. Right now, she's back in your house. You live in New York State?
Yes.
In New York State, you have to support a child until the child is age 21. And the fact that you had her removed from the house, the issue that the judge had to address in those initial hearings was whether or not she was welcome back in your house. And if she was welcome back in your house and she left on her own volition and your house remained open to her, then you didn't have to pay support. But if your house was closed to her, and as opposed to her becoming a public charge, which means welfare, you have to pay until she's 21. Well, so whatever the judge decided, that's not necessarily binding for the purposes of filing a lawsuit against you. I don't think that Ms. Savino expected any money from you. I think that what she expected was money from the Department of Social Services. That's one, right? And if not, maybe Amy would get a job and help out with her support. You want to tell me anything else about your counterclaim?
Well, I cleaned her house, and I went to work with her. I did whatever she asked me to.
Tell me what kind of work you did for her.
She owned Plaster Paint Palace. It's where you paint, and they had parties. I helped clean up. I vacuumed.
How many times did you do that? Every day?
Yes. I was there whenever it was open.
For how many hours?
It was around like 8 hours. Well, we were there from like 11 a.m. till whenever we closed.
Which was when?
Around 6 o'clock.
How is it that you went to the store with her?
What do you mean?
Did she say to you, you have to come to the store with me to work off your room and board?
No, but I figured I was there. I helped her out.
So it wasn't her suggestion that you came to the store with her?
She'd wake me up and ask me to go. She needed me a couple of times. She'd be like, Amy, I need you today. Can you please come?
Well, a couple of times in 4 months. A couple is 2 times.
It was more than 2 times.
How many times?
Well, when I was living there for the last 2 months, I was there every day because she asked me because she needed help because the girls were in school and they weren't able to come in and help her.
All right, so if, let's say, what happened for the first 2 months that you were there?
I helped her. I went with them.
I thought you said you didn't go in every day for the first 2 months.
No, not every day. Maybe like, I went a lot. I went at least 3, 4 times a week, 5 times a week.
Your Honor.
I'm going to get to you in a second. And where was your baby when you were working?
With me.
Okay, now I'll hear you.
I'm sorry. For one, my husband owned the store. My husband bought the ceramic store because my daughters wanted it, so they told my husband that they would run the store. I also have a 27-year-old daughter who used to work when my daughters were in school. The only reason Amy came to the store with me is because she didn't want to stay home all day by herself with the baby.
I believe that.
And when she came to the store...
There were a couple of people there who could spell her. The baby was walking around. She needed a little bit of adult companionship when she was there.
The baby was in the playpen, in the party room, with the disco lights going, with the videotape, with his sing-alongs. Amy would paint. Amy, I have a witness here, Amy played Scrabble. I fed her breakfast, lunch, and dinner every time she went there.
You owe her nothing. She owes you a thank you, but I don't think she owes you any money for room and board, because I don't think that was the reason that you took her in. Did you ever get welfare?
Yes.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
When?
January, I started getting it. It was for my son.
Just in January?
Yes.
And you moved out of her house in?
October.
Did you get any retroactive money?
No.
Just ongoing money?
Mm-hmm.
Savino, this is a prime example of no good deed goes unpunished.
Your Honor?
Yes.
And the reason I did bring the Hoovers into it is because when I took Amy to her support hearings, they did say that they were responsible for her support from the time till she's 21, and she was granted a temporary order of support, you know, because, like I said, you know, I laid out a lot of personal, funds to support them. I don't have that.
I understand that. However, ultimately, whatever checks she got from her mother and father, she turned over to you. Did you get any other checks from your parents other than the $225?
No, they all went to her house. I met up with her at 7-Eleven one night so I could sign them over to her.
So that's the only money she got from them. Now, the temporary order evidently did not become a permanent order.
No, they were supposed to go back at the end of November.
But it did not become a permanent order, and by that time she was back home. As I said, Ms. Savino, no good deed goes unpunished. Whenever you get in the middle of a family dispute, you always end up losing a friend. And I assume that you've lost the Hoovers and their daughter as friends.
My most is the baby.
Is the baby. Was Ms. Savino good to your baby?
Yes.
There is no law that permits Ms. Savino in any jurisdiction, certainly not New York, to petition a court for visitation. But clearly, Ms. Savino, in order to have contact with the baby, you have to have contact with Amy.
I understand.
And at this point, I don't think that that's a good idea. For you and your family, I don't think that that's a good idea. Were you happy that your daughter went to live with Ms. Savino?
I was surprised that she went to live with Ms.
Well, where did you think she was going to live after you had her arrested?
She was supposed to go into a home, a temporary shelter, and she was supposed to get counseling for anger management. That's what the district attorney had told us.
Shelter is not a very pleasant place, as
I
opposed to living with a family friend. So why wouldn't you be really happy if she were living with Ms. Savino?
Well, we wanted her to come home.
She had been back and forth several times, right? And clearly she needed a cooling off period.
Yes, she did.
So Ms. Savino served a real purpose for your family.
That's correct.
Sounds to me as if you owe her a major thank you. Have you ever given it to her?
Well, we were told otherwise by the court that,
Told what
that
otherwise?
Amy was going into a shelter. She would get help for anger management. That's what the district attorney told my wife, and we believed that. And we wanted her and the baby home.
As opposed to going to a shelter, which is where you say the district attorney suggested, she went to a family friend who you knew would take good care of her and take good care of your grandson.
No, we didn't know that. There's more to it than that.
Really?
Miss Savino takes in other teenagers. She had teenagers living in a shed behind the home. It was illegal. It's not a two-family home. She also collects, or she told my wife that she collects Social Security disability. And here she is working in a shop.
What does that have to do?
She employed my daughter full-time.
Get out of here!
In the shop.
Get out of here. Well, your daughter couldn't stand the idea of staying home in her basement room with a baby at her age 18, by herself. So she went to a place that was very pleasant with other young people. That's where she spent her day hanging around. And if she happened to do a little cleaning up there from other kids painting, get over it.
Marge did write us a letter and complaining about wanting money. She wanted $1,000 a month from us.
That's not unreasonable. It's not her responsibility. Your daughter is not her responsibility. Your daughter and your grandson are not her responsibility. They may not be your responsibility because you fought the support hearing. You were found not legally responsible for her support because she had emancipated herself, but certainly, as between you and the plaintiff, it's your ball of wax, not hers. She didn't raise her. You did.
Correct.
This is not her grandson, it's your grandson.
You shouldn't have taken her in.
Should have left her in jail.
She shouldn't have taken her in.
Your Honor, if I didn't take her, she wouldn't have had anywhere to go.
Ms. Savino, I go back to something I said to you before. Never going to get through to them. Just pay attention. No good deed goes unpunished. You got it? Ms. Savino, you don't get money from her. You don't get money from them. But they certainly don't get a dime from you. You cleaned up? Good. You went to the store? Good. What are you doing now? What part of my language didn't you understand? What are you doing now?
I'm taking care of my son.
Period.
Yes.
And where is the father of this child?
He's away.
Away where? On a cruise?
No, in jail.
For what?
Well, he robbed his aunt's house in '99.
For robbery?
Yeah.
And then he violated parole?
Yes.
Ah, how did I put that all together? You're an exercise in poor judgment, Amy. Grow up. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Your Honor, this is case number 481 on the calendar in the matter of Andrews versus Lechner. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats.
Mr. Andrews, You, for a brief period of time, dated the defendant, and I gather from your papers lived in her home. Is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
She has 2 young children.
That's
How old are her children?
Actually, she has 4 young children. The 2 that lives with her are a 6-year-old named Sean and a 4-year-old named Christopher.
All right. When did you move into her house?
Right around the 12th of November.
Of last year?
Of last year.
Let me look at your claim very carefully, sir, because you claim 2 injuries to your car.
That's correct.
You say that in November, 2 of her children caused some damage to your car. So that was shortly after you moved in.
That's correct.
All right, tell me about what happened. One of them jumped off a roof and ended on the hood of your car, and then the other one threw a pebble and broke a light. Is that right?
Sean,
Is that right? Is that about right?
Well, one was a deck. It was about waist high to me.
One of them jumped on the hood of your car.
Yes, that was Christopher.
And the next time something happened to your car, one of the kids was throwing some pebbles and
broke both my low beam and high beam on my headlights.
The glass.
Yes.
Cost you $40-some odd to fix that. Is that right? Okay. Now, did you continue to live with the defendant?
Yes, I did.
What did you say to her about this damage
I
to the car?
told her about it, and she goes, well, my next payday, you'll get your little headlights fixed. When I confront her about the hood, she goes, well, Steve, why don't you just sue me?
Okay. And you didn't, just a second, and you didn't sue her?
No, I didn't. Not at that time, because I was still dating her.
Right. You were still dating her, living in her house, sleeping in her bed, right?
Sleeping on the couch, mostly.
Well, that's your problem. Shh, please. That's your problem. But living with her. Living with her. So I'm not interested in the damage that her kids did to your car, sir. It's irrelevant. You were living there if you felt as if the children were beyond control. What you would have done is you would have packed up and gone back to your mother's house, which you did subsequently, but much later. Now, you decided to move out on what date?
I have it here. It was January 12th of 2002.
Oh, okay. So you stayed a couple of months.
Correct.
And on that evening, you had some sort of an altercation with the defendant in which you claimed that she damaged your car. So that you can tell me about.
Okay. I had went and moved back in with my mom. Charlene had come to my mom's place saying that she wanted to talk to me. When I went and go to the door, my mom went to the door, ordered her off the property. She went, started her car, kept inching her car back into my car, hitting the front of my car, setting off my car alarm. And then she sped out of the place where we live, which is a 5-mile-an-hour zone, doing about 45, 50 miles an hour. Then, when I went out to shut off my alarm, my car was still shaking from her backing into it.
And you say that she did some damage to your car?
Yes, she did. I have an estimate right here.
Well, I'd like to see the photographs and the estimate.
I don't have photographs because I do not own a camera. This is an estimate right here.
You own a car, but you don't have a camera that you can put your hands on? You don't have $7 to go buy a disposable camera?
At the time, I just started my job and I hadn't received my first paycheck.
Then you borrow it from your mother if you plan on suing her for the damage to your car. I mean, I have to see some photographs. How do I know what this is all about? This says hood panel. I'm not interested in what the kids did to your car, sir. You stayed. That was your choice. But for the fact that you decided to separate, you would never have brought up the incident with the 2 children. So I have no idea what the damage you attribute to her is. Do you?
The front valance, since it's a fiberglass car, was misaligned. It cracked the lower air dam or spoiler.
Lower deflector?
That would be the front valance.
How much does that cost?
Was $221.50 for the air dam itself.
Why did you hit his car? Were you just angry?
I didn't hit his car, Your Honor. I have the proof right here. Pictures, everything. Also, I did take my car to get inspected through Geico, his insurance.
Well, according to this, and this is done by Geico Direct, it says, I do not see any signs of damage that would indicate that this vehicle backed into another vehicle causing any damage. No paint transfer on the bumper. Bumper had not been washed. Geico said that they found no evidence that the car was damaged, sir. Okay, now let's deal with your counterclaim. You say that the plaintiff called Child Protective Services with regard to your children. Did you do that, Mr. Andrews?
Yes, I did.
When did you do it?
2 days after I left.
Tell me why.
I had witnessed her. She was sleeping on the love seat. Her kids were watching TV, and I guess one of them had changed his channel from one cartoon to another. And so the 4-year-old started making noise, and she grabbed him by the throat, picked him up, and threw him on the ground and said, shut the F up.
When did she do that, sir?
the day before, like the Friday I had left, or the Friday before I left. And then when the 6-year-old started crying about it, she picked up an ashtray, threw it at him, hitting him in the head, saying, "You shut up too, you little bee."
Is that what precipitated your leaving?
That was part of it. There was a lot of stuff leading up to it.
What did you say to her when she did that to the children?
I looked at her and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And she goes, "They're my kids. You're going to tell me how to raise my kids?"
Was that the first time that you had seen her do anything to her children?
Yes. I'm not the first person to call CPS on her. Her mother had called it in the past, and she had had her kids put in foster care because of it, though.
All 4 of her children, or just 2 of them?
Just 2 of them, because 2 of them live with their biological father.
How old are those 2 children?
I believe 11 and 9.
Is that correct?
No.
How old are
My
your other
daughter's
2
8,
children?
And my son's 11.
And they live with their father?
Yes.
How come?
He went to court and did not notify me and got custody.
Whatever. They live with their father. That's
Yeah.
not true. That's not true. You have to tell the whole story. I mean, I was in family court for a long time. No.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Stephen Andrews says his ex-girlfriend Charlene Lechner owes for damages she and her children caused to his car. Charlene says Stephen told Child Protective Services that she physically threatened her kids.
If somebody goes to court and doesn't notify you and you find out, you wake up one day and you look around the bedroom and you say, aha, 2 of my children are missing. What happened to them? Then you go back to court and you say, listen, I wasn't notified of this hearing.
I didn't get notified until they got picked up, Your Honor.
So they got picked up where?
With the police and him waiting for him.
There's a lot more to that story, madam. How long have the children been with their father?
For about 2 years.
Do you visit with them?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so you have visitation rights?
Yes.
Good, so you knew enough to go to court to get visitation rights, and
Yes.
the court gave you visitation, but the court did not give you custody.
Not yet, Your Honor. I'm still fighting.
Not yet. That's not going to happen. Yeah, these 2 other children are 2 other children from a different relationship or the same relationship?
Different.
Have any of your children ever been in foster care?
Yes.
Which children have been in foster care?
All 4 of them.
For how long?
For about 1.5 years, 2 years.
Mr. Andrews just described an incident that he says he witnessed in your home. Did that happen?
No.
Anything like it?
No.
Did you ever have a substance abuse problem?
No.
I'm not going to be able to determine, Ms. Lechner, whether Mr. Andrews made this call maliciously. He says he did. Do you have any proof that he made this call maliciously?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it.
I've got the CPS worker's card, the one that came out to do the investigation. And he had taken my boys separately and talked with them. And I guess Mr. Andrews had told him that they're scared of me. They said no, they're scared of him. And they started talking about incidents when I was absent, I was at work. And they told him about incidents that Mr. Andrews had done to them.
Were you notified before CPS was coming out to conduct the investigation?
No, I wasn't.
You mean they made a surprise visit?
Yes.
When they made a surprise visit, did they take the children independently?
Yes.
Out?
Yes.
Okay, and you had no indication that they were coming at all?
No, ma'am.
And are you telling me that you have any proof? Don't give me the card. Do you have any proof that they closed the case?
The case was never opened. They just investigated the report that he had called in. And it was closed out.
What reason do you think Mr. Andrews would have for calling Child Protective Services?
Because during the times that we were together, he knew my children were very important to me. I mean, I'm working 2 jobs to support him, and I'm a single parent. So, and he knows that my children are my life. You know, I revolve around my children. What's best for them?
That doesn't answer the question, madam. You could do a lot of things to get
He
back
wanted
at
revenge.
For what?
I have no clue why.
I don't know either, but I'm not prepared to say at this point that he did not see at least a version of what he indicates that he saw. Now, I don't know why he waited 2 days to call Child Protective Services. Evidently, it didn't impact you enough to call immediately, sir.
I didn't want to call from her residence.
So, you go outside to your mother's house and you call 5 minutes later, not days later. You understand?
Yes, Your Honor.
So what she's saying is, you sat back and you said to yourself, she came to my house, maybe she touched my car, I'm going to call and report what I saw, or a version of what I saw. But I believe something happened with your children. I'm not sure it was as bad as what he suggests, but I believe something happened with your children. In any event, your children have been in foster care once. Your children were in foster care once because of court proceedings, so you're not a stranger to that proceeding. I am not prepared to find that he made this call maliciously, so I'm dismissing your counterclaim. But I'm also dismissing your claim, sir, because I find no evidence based upon your proof of anything that she did to your car. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Nothing happened to my children. I would not lay a hand on him.
I have better things to do than to beat up on little children.
He had put poop on my kid's face.
I'm above stuff like that.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Edwards versus Garcia. Step forward, please.
31-year-old university administrator Delilah Edwards is suing 33-year-old sales rep Tracy Garcia for a bounced check. Tracy says the check in question isn't from her.
Miss Edwards, according to your complaint, you're involved with some sort of a cheerleading squad that's attached to a football league.
Yes.
And the defendant said that she would collect some money for the cheerleaders' banquet. And she did, and she said she raised $75. And she gave you a check for the $75.
Correct.
You put the check into your account, and the check bounced. You want her to pay triple damages for the fact that the check bounced and it threw your account out of whack, and you had certain fees and charges, et cetera, et cetera. Defendant says it was her ex-husband's check. She didn't know that the account had been closed, and whatever it was, she made up the money by giving cash to the football league. But we really hear about this check. Now, who has the check for me to look at?
I do.
Can I see it, please? So she did not sign this check.
No, that's what the bank is telling me. I spoke to the customer
No,
service.
she did not sign this check. It's clear that this is signed by someone by the name of Joseph.
Correct.
So she gave you Joseph check for $75.
Correct.
You deposited Joseph check into your bank, and Joseph check bounced.
Yes, it came back actually unable to locate account, which means the account has been closed for more than 6 months.
And when did she give you this check? On what
On
date?
December 6th, the evening of the banquet. I was in contact.
On December 6th, she
Yes.
gave it to you?
Yes.
Well, it's dated December 8th.
I see.
Check is dated. How did you come into possession of this check, Miss Garcia?
My ex-husband gave that check to me to give to them.
To give to them? Why would your ex-husband give you a check to give to them?
Because when I had originally received the sponsorship money, it was in a check and it was made out to me. When I asked them what I should do with that, they told me to go ahead and cash it, and then I would give them the money. So the night of the banquet, my children were home with the chicken pox, and I didn't have time to go to the bank, so I told my ex-husband if he could give me a check and I would give him the money.
Where is he? How did you get in touch with your ex-husband?
Well, we still stay in contact, and he was at home. I went down to his home. He gave me the check, and I told him on Monday I would give him the money to cover the check. And he agreed upon that. Well, I had no idea that this account was closed.
Did you explain that to the plaintiff?
I haven't even spoken to her. They could have gotten in touch with me several times.
Your Honor, we left several messages before it came to this. We called relentlessly. We left messages at home. I started by calling and saying, you know, hey, Tracy, I still have trophies I need to get to the girls. Could you please call me so I can get their phone numbers and get in contact with the girls? When I made the first phone call, I already knew about the check, and I left no message regarding the check in hopes that she would call me back and I could get her on the phone and say, you know, hey, Trace, this check came back. Can we work this out? You know, if you'll just pay me the amount of the check back, we would have been happy. We got no return phone call from her at all.
All right, now we have a bad check. She doesn't get treble damages. This is not your check that was drawn by you on your bank. This was your husband's check. I cannot impugn to you knowledge that the account was closed because he gave you this check. All right? But out of curiosity, what did you do with the $75 that you had in fact collected?
It was turned into the board where the money should have originally gone. This money is supposed to be funneled through the board. It's not to be deposited into anybody's personal account.
Okay, Your Honor. I received from the restaurant owner that donated the money to her in the amount of $75. I have a copy of the carbon from the check that he actually made it out to the Redlands Football Organization. However, Tracy deposited that check in her personal account, so she altered the check as well.
I do not have a personal account to even deposit anything into. I do not have a checking account or
Well, then
a
I'd like to
savings
know how
account.
this check got cashed, and I have a letter from the restaurant owner as well.
Well, did you check with the board and find out whether she
We've
had
left
in fact...
messages for the board.
Shh. Did you check with the board to find out whether she had, in fact, deposited the $75 with the board?
No, I didn't. I actually called the board because they owe us money still.
Oh, okay. Do you have something from the board
Right. I have a
indicating-
statement from the board.
Can I see it, please?
Both Edward and Delilah have been removed from the Redlands football board.
Just one second. Okay. I see a deposit made in the amount of $75 in cash to Community Bank, and that was on February the 12th.
Conveniently.
You didn't make the deposit to
No,
them
I
until
didn't.
February.
I didn't make that deposit. I gave them cash. That was the deposit showing that...
That they made the deposit.
They made the deposit.
Okay. In any event, the board has indicated that they have, in fact, received from Ms. Garcia the $75. You can read this if you like. That's the most important thing, that they have received it. There's a lot of other stuff there that I'm...
Right. The reason that money came to us was because we had put out of pocket a large sum of money for the banquet. We did get some money from the board. We also are still owed money from the board. So in fact, that money is money still out of our pocket that Tracy handed us a fraudulent check.
Ms. Edwards, she did not give you, knowingly, a fraudulent check. I want you to stop for a second.
Okay.
There is no proof, and you do not have any proof, that she knew at the time she gave you this check that this was a closed account.
I spoke to Bank of America, whom the check is drawn on,
Yeah.
and they provided me with some additional information regarding the check. They can verify that that account has been closed since March 10th of 1998, and the signature does not match the signature they have on file for Mr.
Whatever. You cannot establish that she knowingly gave you a bad check. This was clearly not a joint account. It was in his name only. His name only. So that being the case, and if the money is supposed to go to some charitable organization, she collected $75. She turned that money over to the board. I'm sorry if the board still owes you more money, but she doesn't owe you anything. Case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Your Honor, this is case number 577 on the calendar in the matter of Soule versus Gifford. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Soule, you and the defendant have a child together.
Yes.
According to your complaint, the defendant came to visit the child and stayed overnight.
Mm-hmm.
You claim that he stole your wallet, which contained your debit card, and used it to the tune of $175.
Yes.
And the defendant says he didn't do it. Now, you didn't see him take your wallet.
No, I did not.
But you had your wallet when he was there.
Yes, I did.
And then from your complaint, when he left, you went to work the next day and you didn't have your wallet. What did you do at that point?
Well, I decided, I thought maybe I misplaced it somewhere, so I looked all over the place. It was not there. So I called his cell phone, which is the only number I have, and I left message after message to call me back to see if maybe he saw it somewhere. And he never called me back for days and days and days, and I didn't hear from him until like 2 days ago. But I started getting overdraft charges at my bank. They started mailing me overdraft charges.
Give me the date that he was there.
February 17th of this last year.
Okay, go ahead.
So they gave me a printout of my bank statement. So I have here printed out, circled the ones that I did not do. So they went and they started filling out paperwork to do an investigation to find the money. So all my money is on hold, but I have proof here from that. So I went to the places on the paper to talk to the people that work there, maybe get
Were they
receipts.
stores?
Yes, they're stores and a gas station. And I got credit
Purchased
slips
from
Pyromania Glass Studio.
What is that?
It's a glass blowing place. They buy glass floats.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's all I saw when I went in there.
Okay, and what other store?
Chevron gas station.
So whoever it was who took your wallet made a purchase and used a debit card for $145 for a piece of glass.
Yes.
And then $30 for gas.
Yes.
Okay. Were you able to get the receipts?
I was, and they made copies for me. And right now I have a witness right now, Rena Salzer, who is a handwriting expert, and she can verify that those are Scott's handwriting.
So on the 17th, which was the day he left, left on the 17th. So on the 17th, someone purchased this piece of glass
Yes.
for $145. And then on the 18th, someone purchased gas for $30.
And I knew that wasn't me. I only get gas in Toledo, so that wasn't me.
And this is in
Newport.
Newport,
Oregon.
Oregon. Where does he live?
Newport, Oregon.
Well, I don't know where he lives. He stays wherever he wants, but...
Is that where you were living, in Newport, Oregon?
I am now. I wasn't at the time. I was living in Toledo.
What are you doing in Newport, Oregon now? Who lives there now?
That's just where I ended up living, just because I didn't feel like living with my parents anymore. Didn't feel like staying with my mom's. And as far as her wallet goes, I would have been gone the day before, but she refused to give me a ride home. And I've never seen her wallet. I have my own.
Ah, you have your own wallet?
Yeah.
But you don't have your own debit card?
I don't need a debit card.
Okay. Let me hear you witness. Is that you?
Rena.
Step up, please. Tell me your name.
Rena Salzer.
Ms. Salzer, I have a few preliminary questions before I can permit you to testify as an expert witness. First, I'd like to ask Mr. Gifford, I want you to look at these two documents, sir. I want you to look at the handwriting on these two documents, and I want you to tell me if you recognize that handwriting.
Nope. Looks like it could be anyone's handwriting to me.
I didn't ask you that.
No, I don't recognize it.
Okay. How long, by the way, did you live together?
Off and on for about a year. We were only dating for a couple months.
And how old is your child?
She'll be 2 on the 2nd of May.
Okay, but you lived together for a year?
Off and on.
Off and on. Who paid the bills?
Me.
I just have to know whether he had an opportunity to see your signature.
Yeah. Well, my license was in my wallet also. And on the license,
it's signed.
Your signature, yes.
Okay. All right, Ms. Salzer, have you ever testified as an expert witness in any court?
No. I've worked with attorneys on various cases that have involved questioned documents, but none of the cases have gone to court.
Okay, so you have been utilized by attorneys, by private
Correct.
attorneys. Are you registered anywhere as a handwriting analyst?
Yes, I am on the public defender's list.
Where?
Los Angeles.
What kind of credentials do you have to present in order to go on the public defender's list?
I have to present my education in the field, as well as the fact that I have apprenticed with a board-certified document examiner for the past several years.
With whom have you apprenticed?
Eva Salzer.
Is that your mother?
In-law.
Mother-in-law. But you have been certified to be on the public defender's list as an analyst in documents.
Correct.
Okay. Did you have an opportunity to examine this document?
Yes.
You have to look at it first.
And I also have exemplars of Mr. Gifford here, if you would like to see them.
How did you obtain the handwriting exemplars of the defendants?
They were given to me upon my arrival here today.
Here?
Correct.
Good. So your analysis of the handwriting was really done today?
Correct.
Can I see the handwriting exemplars that were furnished by Mr. Gifford? Would you show these exemplars to Mr. Gifford so that he can verify that this is his handwriting? Is your handwriting, is it not, sir?
Yep, sure is.
Okay. Were you able, Ms. Salzer, to draw with a reasonable degree of scientific certainty a conclusion with regard to whether it was Mr. Gifford who signed the plaintiff's name to these two debit slips?
Yes.
And what was the conclusion that you drew?
My professional opinion is that it is highly probable that Mr. Gifford executed the questioned signature.
Testifying on Carrie's behalf is handwriting expert Rena Salzer.
Now, on what do you base that?
The idiosyncrasies present in Mr. Gifford's handwriting, or his signatures, are also present in the questioned signatures of Ms. Soule.
Explain it to me. I have both in front of me.
Okay. The formation of the capital S is identical. It is a rather peculiar formation at that, so that is definitely an identifying characteristic. They both have the same slant and letter proportion. You'll notice that the height of the upper extensions goes quite high up.
Mm-hmm.
The eye dots are dashed. The connecting strokes are rather jagged, so the movement of the writing is very jerky looking. The relationship to the baseline is also consistent. It either rests on it, goes a little bit below, or a little bit above. The stroke structure of the small a and o is also formed similarly, an initial loop that is horizontal in the way that it is formed. The combination of all of these characteristics tells me that the writer of the question signatures and the exemplars of Mr. Gifford are the same. The only thing that would make my opinion stronger is if Mr. Gifford were to sign Ms. Soule's name right now.
Well, the problem is he is already on notice, Ms. Salsa, so that...
Okay.
Do you understand? He's
Yes.
already on notice that that's what you're asking him to do. But I have followed very carefully your testimony with regard to the various structures of the letters, with regard to how he dots both signatures, the letters that you refer to. So I believe that you are in all probability correct with regard to your ultimate analysis, that within a reasonable degree of certainty, you can say that the same person signed these documents. Mr. Gifford, let me explain something to you. This is not a criminal proceeding. I don't know whether in a criminal proceeding, certainly you had the opportunity to take the plaintiff's wallet. You probably had the inclination as well, because according to you, in the few words that you've said so far here today, you were royally annoyed that she would not give you a ride home. I have examined these handwriting exemplars that you gave as relating to the documents that were signed, the forged documents, and I do believe that you forged a signature, which means that you stole her wallet and her debit card. Could I say that beyond a reasonable doubt? Probably not. Fortunately, in this proceeding, that is not the burden of proof. The burden of proof here is a mere preponderance of the evidence. More evidence than not that you're a thief, which I find. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $175. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's been stealing from a lot of people. He stole from me before, and I should have known better.
There's a bunch of people that could have a bunch of different signatures. I was out camping, still have no clue what she's talking about.
Stay away from men like that.
Thought that I don't want to be with her.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Solomon versus Guerrero, step forward, please.
23-year-old administrative assistant Desiree Solomon is suing her former live-in boyfriend, 31-year-old salesman Anthony Guerrero, for carpeting, a bedroom set, and a cell phone bill. Anthony is countersuing. He wants the big screen TV.
Ms. Solomon, according to your complaint, you and the defendant were in a relationship. You moved into a home that was owned by the defendant's mother.
Correct.
You say it was in relatively poor condition at the time. The defendant had his daughter living with him. Is that right, sir?
Every other weekend.
You worked on the house, cleaned the house, did some painting. But in addition to that, you claim that you purchased carpeting for the house.
Correct.
You purchased a bedroom set for the defendant's daughter.
Correct.
And then there was an issue of a cell phone bill. You separated because you claim there was some sort of an altercation with the defendant, and you want to be reimbursed for the carpeting, the cell phone bill, and his daughter's bedroom set. The defendant says that the carpeting was your idea, that the bedroom set was also your idea and a gift to the child, and he doesn't know anything about the cell phone bill. We'll get to that. But he is counterclaiming because he says when you left, you took a large screen TV that belongs to him. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When did you separate?
September of 2001.
When was the carpeting purchased?
August of 2001.
Now, tell me about the carpet purchase.
I spoke with Mr. Guerrero, and he didn't have good credit because he had a bankruptcy on his credit due to a DUI, and I purchased the carpet for the house.
No, that doesn't tell me anything. That doesn't tell me there was a loan.
Well, he knew that was an agreement. He told me he would pay me back for this carpet if I purchased it for this house.
Tell me the conversation as you remember it.
I think I remember it. We talked to each other on the phone, and we came to the agreement. He had some green carpet in there that was his mother and his stepfather lived in, and he smoked, and the carpet was just kind of like riddled with smoke, and his dad, I think his stepdad was like alcoholic, and it just didn't have a good smell to it.
Let me hear the conversation. Usually when two people are living together and they want to buy something, they say, listen, the carpeting is really gross.
Right.
Let's get rid of it.
And that was the conversation, and he agreed to pay for the carpeting.
Is that right, sir?
No, ma'am.
Let me hear the story.
Your Honor, if we would have had a conversation like that, we probably would have had it at the house where we sit down and made a decision
Tell
like
me
that.
how the carpeting came to be put down in the house.
She went to the carpet place, picked the carpet out, picked the design of the carpet, made the color of the carpet all by herself, told me, hey, can you take this day off? I bought carpet, and they're going to be putting it in this day. Can you take this day off and be there to do it? I said, you did what? And she goes, yes, I got carpet. I go, why? Well, it doesn't match the furniture. It's green, and the furniture is, you know, a beige color. And I'm like, I guess. I was there to when when they put it in, but in no way did we have a conversation stating anything about, hey, let's go get carpet.
All right, let me hear about the bedroom set, Ms. Solomon.
Okay, Tony, when he moved into the house, I had my own bedroom set that I brought in, and he didn't have any furniture. I brought the furniture in. And of course, he wanted to get a bedroom set for his daughter, make the room kind of nice for her. So we went out together and purchased a bedroom set for his daughter using my credit also.
So?
He told me he would pay me back $100 per month for this bedroom set.
Tell me about that.
Actually, she wanted to get this certain bedroom set for my daughter. You know, like she said, my credit wasn't the best, so I was going to go out and get my daughter a nice bedroom set, but not the bedroom set that she had chosen. But she wanted to get that. Anyway, neither way, I have 5 canceled checks right here along with the receipts showing where I paid $500 to her with the furniture, or stating on it right there, furniture to Desiree Solomon.
That was for your daughter's furniture?
Yes, ma'am.
Let me see it.
And this is also a copy of the receipt.
Did he give you $519 towards the furniture?
Yes, and that was with the cell phone bills. He told me he was going to help me pay for the cell phone bills.
Just a minute. This says furniture on it.
Yeah, I know, but 1 month it was for cell phone bills. He paid me 2 payments in 1 month, and one was that to help me with the cell phone.
How much was the furniture?
$579, Your Honor.
Is that right?
Yes.
So he practically paid you for the bedroom furniture.
Correct.
So what do you want?
I'm wanting the carpet. The carpet.
Carpet you're not going to get. Carpet, I don't believe that you had an agreement when you purchased this carpet that he was going to pay you back for it.
I wouldn't have purchased the carpet if he wasn't going to pay me back. I don't have that kind of money.
I believe that he said he would buy the child's furniture and that he would reimburse you. I don't believe you with regards to the carpet. That's my prerogative. That's my job. Okay, now let's get to the cell phone bill.
Here's the cell phone bill.
Show it to him.
Your Honor, we broke up in September. She has bills here for October.
Because you told me to keep the phone on and you would pay me.
She has bills.
Because I didn't want to get charged an early termination fee, $150.
I don't even know what she has on here.
It's your phone number.
Did anybody use the phone after you separated?
Yeah, he did.
Did you pay any of those bills?
No, ma'am.
You did not? All right. So
I asked her to send me a list so I could look at phone numbers, Your Honor, and she sent me one piece of paper saying an amount on there, and that was
But now you looked at the bill.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, and how much is that bill?
Altogether, $399.17.
So between that and the $79 that he owes you still for the furniture, because he only gave you $500, the furniture was $579, that's $478.
Correct.
Okay, good. Now, tell me about this big screen TV.
Your Honor, one day I came home from work. She's a very materialistic person. She wanted this, she wanted that in the house, she wanted everything perfect in the house. So she could have people over, show everybody how nice our house was.
Good, but that's what women do.
Fine.
Women nest.
I come home from work one day.
Mr. Guerrero, women nest. You don't care if the carpet is green and the furniture is orange. Men don't care about that. There are some men that care, most don't. Okay, so she's materialistic, she wanted her house to look nice.
Right, so I came home one day, she says, I'm walking in the living room to the TV room, she's standing there looking like Vanna White with a big TV. And she tells me, this is for you, now you can have your friends over here. Because there were times on the weekends where I was going to my brother's house, my cousin's house, watch football, they had big screen TVs. She goes, this is for you, I bought this, you can have your friends over here.
So what you're telling me is she bought the TV as a gift for you.
Right.
And then when she left, she took it.
Right.
Try this, sir. This is so you can have your friends over and watch TV.
Mm-hmm.
Try that. Does that sound right? So you want the TV and the new carpet?
Right.
She's got the TV now, right?
Right.
She keeps it.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay?
Yeah, I've been making payments on it. I had the statement here. He's suing for $3,000. I think it's kind of funny. The TV's only $2,000.
Listen, you keep the TV.
Okay.
Out of this deal, it cost you a little bit of beige carpet?
It cost me more than that, you know.
Probably. And a cell phone bill. All right. He owes you $478, judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Your Honor, this is case number 571 on the calendar in the matter of Harper versus Boozer. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats, please.
Ms. Harper, the defendant was a friend of yours, according to your complaint. You loaned her some money. According to you, you have a note to prove the loan. She did not repay you the entire amount, and you want it. Is that what this is about?
Yes.
Defendant says she borrowed some money, not as much as you claim. She paid you back every cent that she owes you. So, when did you make this loan and why?
I made the loan to Lisa on 6/20/01 because she had written 6 fraudulent checks and she needed the money to repay the checks.
Well, how did you find out about this need that she had for the money?
She called me on 6/19 at 10 o'clock in the morning and asked me to pick her up from work because she had a warrant out on for these checks. So.
She had a warrant out?
Mm-hmm.
How much money did she tell you she needed?
$1,200 and something dollars.
Go ahead.
I had a loan that I had previously and I had paid it off. So she asked me if I could help her. Could I see if I could borrow the money from there to help her out?
What money? Explain that to me.
I borrowed some. I had a loan already at First Franklin. It was, you know, where I could go back and borrow money if I needed to. So then I called them and I asked her, could I borrow $1,200? And she said I could borrow up to $2,000. So I told her I didn't need that much, that I needed $1,200. So I had to do $1,500.
Why did you have to do 15?
I couldn't borrow $1,200.
So let me see the loan papers where you borrowed $1,500. Okay. And the total payments that you had to make with all the interest that they add up was $2,280 on this $1,500.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Go ahead.
So then I got the money, and they wrote me out a check, and I had to take the check to the bank, and I cashed the check. And me and my witness, Alice Tanner, we went. I had to pick Alice up to take her to work, so we went to Lisa's sister's house, and I gave her $1,480, and I had her sign.
Now let me see the note that you say you had her sign. Would you show the defendant this and ask her if it's her signature? Is that your signature?
Yes, it is.
Fine. Okay, so I'm going to read this note. It says, I, Regina Harper, that's you, borrowed $2,280 from First Franklin Financial Corporation on 6/20/01 for Lisa Boozer, in which she, Lisa, agrees to pay $100 on the 20th of every month until the balance is paid in full. And you signed that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, how much did you give her back?
Judge Judy, first of all, it was 5 fraudulent checks, okay? The total came up to $830. I have the receipts right here where I paid them. I had $100 of my own money. My mother gave me $30. Regina only gave me $700. I never seen none of the agreement that she signed with the loan company or any of that.
You signed this piece of paper?
Because she said she needed, she was going to get her bills consolidated, and that she needed to let them know that she was not paying that back, that I was the one that would needed to pay that back, not her. Me and her split it that. She needed money for school to pay school off to get her, her grades. She gave me $700 and she kept the rest of it.
Well, how am I supposed to tell that from this note that you signed? How am I supposed to tell that? I mean, are you an unintelligent girl?
No, I am not.
Well,
me and Regina both went to college together, and she knows this.
If you went to college
yes,
together, so you are clearly an intelligent young woman. This is a promissory note for $2,280, where you promised to pay back $100 a month. Now, I don't doubt that that scenario could have happened.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, you're an intelligent young woman. Why would you sign something like this?
Because we were friends, and she said she needed the money for her new baby to get her bills consolidated so she wouldn't be in a bind.
Very possible.
Yeah.
Now, you paid her back some. Let me see the receipts of what you paid her.
I never got any receipts. I gave Regina cash. My sister was with me every time I paid her.
all the receipts. She has made 3 payments.
You never gave me a receipt. You never.
Because you never paid
You never gave me no receipt.
I paid.
Where you gave the receipt to?
Don't fight with each other. Listen to me.
Don't
fight with each other.
Yeah, I'm gonna have a receipt.
Shh, don't fight with each other. Don't speak
She
to each
wouldn't
other.
have a receipt, Judge Judy, because she never went and paid the loan. I had to go and track her down every 20th of the month, 25th, and go and make the payments myself, go to this place.
How many payments did she make?
She made 3.
Of $300?
She made 3 payments of so that's $300, and I've been making them ever since.
Can my sister please speak, Judge Judy?
Sure.
Come on, please.
Go ahead.
They made the transaction at my house, and it was $700 that Regina counted out to my sister at my house. Then we went and we paid on the checks. Me, my mom, and my sister went and paid on the checks. And I was with Lisa on a couple of occasions when she did make the payments to Regina. Regina came over to my house to get the payment. The young lady that's with her now, she don't even know where I stay. I never met her. It's my first time ever meeting her. And we went up to the hospital to also give Regina some money, too.
So, I have a piece of paper here. It is a contract. It says, I will pay back this amount of money. If there was a side contract that it wasn't going to be that much money, and I'm not doubting that it's possible that that happened, but I'm not dealing with an unintelligent young woman here.
You're right.
I'm dealing with an intelligent young woman. You have a contract. You agreed. It was notarized. You went in to somebody actually to have it notarized. The signature's notarized. So you were aware that this was a binding sort of contract.
You know, Judge Judy, you know, it's ironic that this would come up after Regina was under investigation at Spummer Regional Medical Center for going into her baby's father, new girlfriend's files. And I told her, me and her went to college together, and we went through too much to get to where we was at. And if they ever came to me and asked me, was she the one that went in her files
and they would see that
found
you
out.
pulled up her.
All
No,
right,
ma'am.
listen, I'm not.
No, ma'am. No,
Listen to me.
ma'am. No, ma'am. You know you did it.
Miss
I don't
Boozer,
work
Miss
CT.
Boozer.
Yes,
She's
ma'am.
saying she don't have.
Listen to me.
I don't have S6.
1,
She's
2,
saying-
3. And you're out of here. I'm not a young person anymore. I don't like to shout. You borrowed this money in June.
Yes, ma'am.
And the interest was substantial. And according to you, and even according to your witness, you made no more than 3 payments on the $700 because that's all she's prepared to testify to. Why didn't you pay the rest? Why? No, don't make up a story. Why didn't you pay the rest?
I paid her the rest. I made, the last payment I gave her was January when I received the court papers.
When you paid her in January, did you get a receipt?
No.
Then I don't believe you. And I'm going to tell you why. Then I'm going to tell you why. Did you pay her by check?
No.
Then I'm going to tell you why. Because unless you are really thick, somebody sues you, and you want to make your final payment. And you say that I won't owe you anything, even though the amount that she was suing you for was different. If you give her the money, you at least say, at least this time, I'm going to do it by a money order so that I have a record. I'm going to do it with a receipt so I have a record. I'll do it by check so I have a record. But you don't just go and hand her the money in cash. So I don't believe you. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount requested in the amount of $1,700. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think that, you know, she need to go get a life and find her baby's father.
She never was my friend. And when she get back home, she will be picked up because she wrote another check in December.
She goes into her ex-boyfriend's new girlfriend's files and finds out that she has breast cancer.
And was going around
goes
telling
around
everybody.
Spartanburg and tell everybody.
Stay away from this one.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Oakley versus Graham. Step forward, please.
50-year-old construction worker Mike Oakley is suing 44-year-old contractor Hans Graham for running him off the road and assaulting him in a fit of road rage. Hans claims Mike started it.
All right, you two gentlemen were in your cars. You don't know each other. And there was an incident that looked to me like a little bit of road rage. Mr. Oakley, you claimed that the defendant caused damage to your car.
Yes.
You want to tell me first when this happened?
This happened November 9th, 6:20 a.m.
Where were you going or coming from, sir?
I was going to work up I-15 out of San Diego.
Was it light or dark out?
It was just getting light.
What kind of car were you driving?
2002 Toyota truck.
Okay, tell me what happened.
I was in the second lane, which is right next to the fast lane, which I travel that lane.
How many lanes are there altogether?
There was 6.
Go ahead.
We were just going along, and
Who was with you?
Donnie is he works for our company too. He's a carpooler. He rides with me.
Okay.
Driving along, and we got slow traffic in the second lane. It was down to about 60 miles an hour, and I signaled, moved over into the fast lane. Before I knew it, Mr. Graham was on my rear end, and he went to go around me in the second lane. He went past me and cut back into the first lane, and that's where he clipped me and knocked me out of control. I went left, I went right, I went left again and got it under control. I pulled off the road because I couldn't go to the right, there were so many lanes. I pulled off, He had pulled off in front of me about 30, 40 feet. Got out of my truck. As soon as I shut my door, Mr. Graham was right on top of me, saying that he was going to kick my... And he pushed me, and I fell over the little wall that's in between the freeways. I got back up, went to the back of my truck, reached in for a hammer because I didn't know what this guy was going to do next. He came down the side of the truck, stopped there. He went towards the window and asked Donnie if he would like a little bit of this too, and he punched the window. The window didn't break, and after that he came back again, and he stopped and went back to his truck. He wrote down some information, I guess, and he threw the information at me, said I had to go to work, and he left the scene.
Let me see the police report, please.
Mm-hmm.
What is that piece of cardboard that you have, sir?
That's showing how the accident happened. This is Mr. Graham, or this is me, and this is Mr. Graham. He came up behind us. I guess this is the wrong way. Here we go. I'm sorry. Well, he was in the one lane.
You're the red car. Listen to me. In the way
No,
you
I'm
have
not
that
the red.
diagram,
I'm in the second lane here. I moved over, and when he went around...
I said you're the red
yes,
car.
You're absolutely right. I'm sorry.
Okay, you're the red car.
Okay. So I moved over into this lane.
Okay, and probably what you did was you cut him off. Is that right, Mr. Graham?
Yes, ma'am.
You cut him off.
I
He
got in
got
front of
angry.
him. Yes.
So he went around you
Went around me.
to get back in front of you to cut you off.
Yes. And he clipped my front end.
No, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to get to you in a second.
Thank you.
Can I see what kind of damage was done to your truck, please?
I have the pictures here. It's kind of hard to see because of the light. And here's the estimate for the damage.
What kind of deductible do you have, sir?
$1,000.
Okay. Now, Mr. Graham, I'll hear you, sir.
Is that the amended police report? Because there was actually two, and I never got the amended one. This was the first one filed. Okay, he left out a couple key facts there. He cut me off, straight off, underneath, couldn't even see his lights. I couldn't even hit my brakes. I went around him and actually kept my tires still in this lane here. When we went up here, I was not concentrating on him. There was another car beside me. I was holding on to my steering wheel, watching this car here. Boom, all of a sudden we make contact. I look back to see him lose control of his vehicle.
Mr. Graham, why did you attempt to get back into the
I didn't. I stayed straight. I went around him. When he made the lane change, he actually went too far over. I mean, he came in front of me quick, and he knows it. He knows he cut me off. You ask him point blank. He
Mr.
cut
Graham,
me off.
that may have happened, sir.
Okay. I didn't even see his lights.
No, listen to me. That may have happened, sir. Let's say he didn't look before he put on his signal. Now, I have, in fact, in my lifetime, seen some drivers. They do the following. They put on their signal, then they change lanes, and then they look. And I'll say to them, no, you got the order wrong. The order is you put on your blinker, then you look. If it's clear, then you change lanes.
That's not what he did. He went...
Okay. So, Mr. Graham, do you think that he did that because he wanted to get into an accident or because he just wasn't thinking?
He wasn't thinking.
Right. Just stop right there. So if somebody's not thinking, I mean, so he wasn't a nut, just wasn't thinking. And I've seen that. I'm sure that most of us have been in that situation where, you know, you're thinking about something else and you want to change a lane, or you're getting on a highway and, you know, you're looking in one direction, you get on the parkway, and all of a sudden you see a car. It comes out of nowhere. That's what causes accidents. But why did you get so angry?
Well...
You got, Mr. Graham.
Not yet. Can I finish? You told me let me have my chance to talk.
You got angry because he cut you off.
No, I didn't. Everything happened so quick, I had to get by him. I had another car here. I got angry when we got out of the truck, and that's where he left out more key parts. We weren't 30 feet apart. Our truck was 10 feet apart. I walked to the back of my truck. He threw his door open, got out, threw his hands up, and said, "Why didn't you let me in?" And when he took a step towards me, I stepped towards him. He wasn't going to hit me, so I pushed him. He fell down.
No, Mr. Graham. Listen to me, sir. I read your answer very carefully. You said when he got out of the truck, he said to you, "Why didn't you let me in?" And then you wrote, "I pushed him."
No, he threw his hands up. I'm telling you, he threw his hands up.
So he threw his hands up. You said, so I pushed him. And then you say he jumped back up, which means you pushed him hard enough to knock him down.
Yes, ma'am. He fell down.
So when I say to you, Mr. Graham, that you were angry, you can't say to me I wasn't angry.
Oh, no.
You were angry.
I was angry when I got out of the truck. Yes,
You
ma'am.
were angry before you got out of the truck.
No, ma'am.
Well, I think you were.
Well, I didn't have time. It happened like 1, 2, 3. And then he jumped up and he went to his window that I hit, and he told his buddy, "Are you going to get out of the truck or what?" And that's when I said, "Yeah, come on, hit him, get out of the truck."
Mr. Graham, why did you, just a second, you just said you went over to his buddy where you had just hit the window. Why did you hit his window?
No, he went to his buddy.
No, you said to me, I just hit the window.
I did.
You said to me, I hit the
Yes,
window.
ma'am. But before...
Why did you hit his window?
I'm talking to his buddy. Go ahead, get out of the truck. Come on, get out of the truck.
You were out of control. You were out of control. He may have done the wrong thing by cutting you off. And if he got out of the car and say, why didn't you let me in? And maybe it's possible that it's not as I had originally thought, that he just wasn't looking, but that he wanted to get over, and maybe you weren't letting him in, and he went over anyway. That's a possibility. But my sense of what happened here is you totally overreacted to a situation.
It's incorrect, Your Honor.
Where were you going to, Mr.
I was
Graham?
going to work. I was going to a job where I install a marble and granite, and I had a marble delivery there I had to sign for. I was not out of control. If I would have been out of control, I would have thumped him.
You were out of control, sir, because you put your hands on him first, and then
He
you went
stepped
over
towards
to...
me with his hands in the air.
No.
Yes, ma'am, he did.
No. I don't believe that, sir. I don't
Okay.
believe that he stepped towards you with his hands in the air in a combative position. If he did, I'm telling you, based upon your posture here today, you would have hit him, not pushed him. And then after that happened, you
thought
went
he was
over to
gonna
his
hit me.
friend. I'm speaking. You went over